America. I'm ready.
Hello, everybody, and welcome new viewers and new subs.
Welcome.
I gotta bring this up. We gotta be able to see if
While he fixes that, I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know this podcast is brought to you by the Down the Middle podcast. More on them later, because believe it or not, I can tie it in.
You can tithe it in.
And we're no longer green anymore, because apparently when you stand up, it turns green. We can't
so
explain
weird.
that.
Green with envy.
So, originally the plan was we were going to talk about the Trump indictment and the debate, but I'll be honest, I think there's more to talk about in the debates. We're going to touch on the indictment and Trump, but I had the indictment.
So yeah, there's multiple.
Read through it all and
facets to
dog-eared the interesting points of a 98-page document.
You read through it all.
Oh, yeah.
How does it feel to be the most boring person alive?
I'm used to it. I'm used
Sorry,
to it by
that's
now.
a joke.
But here's the thing, though. I'll be honest. After reading
shit.
the indictment, my tune has changed a little bit on it.
On Trump or the indictment?
Both, all of the above.
They tie together.
And then I had the timeline of Donald Trump's Georgia investigation. I highly recommend you read the indictment.
Oh, this is some of the stuff we were talking about at your house.
Yeah.
Okay.
I highly recommend you read the indictment because it's a boring long read, so do it in spurts. And actually, if somebody wants me to, I don't want to do this, but I care about our viewers and fans. And I'm going to do it now when we only have one person watching. If you want me to read the indictment like I did the Restrict Act, just tell me and I'll do it, but I don't really want to. I'd rather you just go read it yourself. But the one upshot is if I do that, it will increase our watch time, so I might do it anyway, but you decide, America. So here's what I thought we might do for our debate discussion. Instead of going in a linear fashion, because as we've proven many times, we're incapable of doing that and it's boring, I think we should pick a candidate at random and sort of discuss their performance throughout the entire debate.
I'm down with that.
And we can start.
I'm just checking something, so ignore me.
Yeah, you're good. So I figure we can pick somebody to start, but one caveat, I don't want to start with DeSantis or Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah, save them for last.
And then if viewers are present at the time when we're going to move on, we can ask you who you'd like us to talk about, or we'll just pick somebody. Tell me we have audio. It sounds good too.
You know what's great about it?
What?
We don't have feedback, and it sounds clear.
It does.
You know why? Because I turned the AC that way,
Oh.
and it's still on high. So therefore,
Well,
we don't have to sweat to death in this fucking hellhole. Excuse my language.
Not that we wouldn't, but
Yeah,
I mean we like you, but
we like you guys.
not
But
that much.
is that you, Sosa?
Oh, was he in there?
Probably.
So who do we want to start with other than Ramaswamy?
It was me. It's me, Jessica.
That is me.
Okay. All right. So let's start with. You want to start with Chris Christie?
Yeah, might as well because
That little.
he's
chink.
not a little
He's not
anything.
chink. I'm sorry, that's wrong.
He's not a what?
Yeah, he's not little.
Yeah, he's not.
I
a
started
little.
saying chink, and I was like, no, he's not chink. And I don't even know why I said chink because he's not even Asian, and like
That's
honestly,
also-
that's a dumb.
That's also super racist.
It's a dumb
if he
pet
were,
name.
Yeah, it's not. Hold on, I'm gonna save you. He can't have that because he's not wearing armor. Because he can't get any that fits. It's a half-ass save. It's a half-ass attempt at a save. But yeah, let's start with Chris because I'm gonna be honest.
That was a good save because.
Chris Christie. So another part of this game. Sorry, I forgot. The other thing that I think would make this interesting is before we talk about them. I'm going to use Chris Christie as the example. What is the highest office you think that they are capable of reaching in the United States government? So the options would be
All these guys. Okay.
yeah. So
Gotcha.
for Chris Christie, I'll be honest, I think the highest position he would possibly get is vice president. I think it's possible that he could get there,
I think he's reached his limit.
and that's very likely. But
Governor.
I mean, if all the stars align, I think Krispy's got Krispy.
New Jersey, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Crispy, Chris Crispy.
Chris Krispy Kreme.
I think if
Frequents there often.
I think he's got the political influence to get there. If the stars align for him, I think he could become a VP. I don't think he would ever make it to president, even after serving as a VP. I think that's his ceiling. But you think governor's it?
I think that's it.
I
I don't think he's going to win anything.
I wouldn't. Well, not right now, but you never know. Like,
Well, he said many unpopular things, and I'm
But
just
so
saying
did-
that doesn't help.
so did Joseph R. Biden, and honestly, I'll be completely honest. I never thought Biden couldn't be president. I just thought that at this particular time he wouldn't be. I was wrong.
I 100% was wrong because I was just like, there's no one that's going to vote
But-
for that guy.
But in my defense, I said from almost the very beginning that he was going to get the Democratic nomination. And that's another thing. I decided this today, so I haven't told you yet. I'm going to go back. I'm going to put together a playlist and upload some of our older content and make a playlist on our channel of I Told You So's. And I've already got the first one where we said if they change the laws for the unsolicited mail-in ballots, Joe Biden will win the presidency. Which we said in our very first episode.
Oh, yeah.
So, actually, I might pick up that phone, the playlist.
Because, you know, whether anyone wants to admit it or not, unsolicited mail-in ballots, that's a problem. Like, I don't care if, like, if you think the mail-in ballots, you know, somebody frauded, you know, Joe Biden into winning. I don't care what you think on that. Like, that's not my stance. I'm just saying mail-in ballots, they're way too easy to forge.
Well, I'm going to...
Not saying they are. YouTube.
For the sake of debate, though, I'm going to push back on that a smidge. And
Well, actually, didn't YouTube pull that
yeah,
back?
they pulled that.
Yeah,
because
fuck
they want Trump to be the Republican nominee. So I'm going to push back a little bit on that and postulate
have an
this. Would you feel, and think about this, would you, and for that matter, Republicans out there, would you feel that strongly about mail-in ballots if Trump had won the 2020 election?
I would still say they just no.
I
Like,
would-
you have to show up and vote because that's your civic duty
Or at the very
as
least,
a freaking American.
or at the very least, solicit an absentee ballot if you're not going to be able
I mean,
to vote.
do you know what you have to do in order to get an absentee ballot?
No, because I've never had to.
Well, I didn't know if you knew or not. You literally have to mail in identification to get an absentee ballot. Why is that such a problem on the left?
Or, I mean, virtually all states have pretty significant early voting periods, too.
On top of that, also voter ID laws are in most states, but for some reason, they're not in certain states. They will go unnamed.
The Constitution allows states to run elections as they see fit. So, I mean, that I don't like it, but that is the law.
Right, and it is, unfortunately, it's not unfortunately, I'm sorry, it is
Well, no,
up
that's
to the
unfortunate.
states for their certain laws, you know, because they have a base and then they have, you know, wiggle room underneath that. So, I mean, I don't like it, but it is what it is. I don't live in those states, so I don't care.
I've never had a problem with Indiana's election laws. It's pretty straightforward.
I mean, dude, like when the election was over, they had it counted up in like what, an hour?
Well, because we
two?
use voting machines here. Yeah, so
Yeah, but
it's all digital.
I don't believe they're Dominion though.
I couldn't tell you, but I mean,
I
yeah,
don't know what they are.
They're counted in about an hour or two. Yeah.
Okay.
Like if polls close at 6, we generally know by 8 o'clock. They may not be done yet, but you have a pretty good idea.
Polls don't close ever for Chris Christie. He blows them.
So yeah, Chris Christie
That
for
was
me.
a bad joke.
I don't think he won or lost in here. I think he pretty much stayed right where he was, and I think he will stay that way. But you notice, Chris Christie was the only person, and I'll give credit where credit's due. Chris Christie is the only person up there who actually sparred with Trump during the last primary, I do believe.
Did he?
I thought he was there, was he not?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Well,
It's been 3.5 years.
I'm trying to remember.
Oh,
but
no, has it been 4? Yeah.
yeah, but you'll notice Ted Cruz wasn't up there. Marco Rubio wasn't up there. Jeb Bush wasn't up there.
Wait, Rubio ran?
In 2016.
Did he?
Yeah.
Man, I don't-
He called him Little Marco.
I forgot all about
Little
that.
Marco, Lying Ted. All those guys. Nothing.
Little
Jeb
Lion
Bush.
Ted.
Oh, Lion Ted.
Little Lion Man.
And Jeb Bush wasn't up there. Yeah, nobody. I think Chris. Actually, now I need to know. I'll
He
search
needs
that
to
real
know.
quick.
Well, I mean, Chris Christie's pretty much. I'm sorry. I don't think he had some nice things to say, but for the most part, he just not on my page.
Oh, he did run, but he suspended his campaign on February. Yeah, no, so he would have been in the primary debates. He suspended his campaign on February 10th, 2016. So, yeah, he was up there. Okay. So he was the only candidate that went up against Trump in 2016 that is going up against him now.
I'm going to turn that down.
Because obviously there wasn't a Republican primary in 2020 because Trump was the incumbent. Which is another thing I'm going to point out to people. And believe you me, as much as I would like to see RFK Jr. debate Joe Biden, it's not going to happen because Joe Biden, the Democrats don't have to run a primary. Joe Biden's the incumbent, and unless he doesn't want to run, they're not going to.
Yeah, but
so for all these people that are saying,
Democrats have said no.
I know, but it doesn't happen. They're acting like this is some weird decision. It was never going to happen. What? The incumbent president doesn't have to go through a primary, and therefore they don't. Trump didn't have to go through a primary.
Gavin Newsom's going to run.
Okay, but there's no primary.
He's quite popular.
Okay, but he's not going to get the nomination because there's no primary. So he's wasting.
Why did they come out and say they're not having a primary? Or?
They never do. Trump didn't have a primary when he ran in 2020. He was the incumbent.
See, this is how clueless I am on elections. Like
incumbent presidents, generally speaking, don't. I can't think of a time where they did, unless somebody got. No, the incumbent doesn't run a primary. Why would they? It's too divisive. You've got a team that already won. Stick with it.
Well, I mean, that's what you would say
now,
about Trump.
Okay, so there's a slight exception, though. I forget who FDR's VP was, but when he ran in 40, that would have been 44, he had a different VP. That's how Truman got in, because Truman wasn't his VP prior to that. But FDR didn't go through a primary. Or maybe he... Don't quote me on that. He might have.
He sure spent a lot of money, though.
Yeah.
Granted, at that time, it was kind of...
I mean, you're talking about the Great Depression and the Second World War.
Like I said, at that time,
that's a lot of money. But yeah, so Christie, I mean, I guess props to the fact that he wasn't afraid to go after Trump, but everybody knows, so there's no point in hiding it. And it almost seemed like Chris Christie has a bit of a vendetta, in a way, which it makes sense.
I mean, have you heard how Trump talks about him? Like, not even then. I'm talking now.
Well, Donald Trump took the decorum of the Republican Party and wiped his ass with it.
My gosh, dude. Well, the thing is, people forget, like, Trump, yeah, he ran as a Republican, but he is far from a Republican. Like, I mean, hell, the guy was a Democrat for many years, and then I would assume he's independent, but unfortunately, you can't run as independent or even really anything else because our country's too stupid and you have so many people who vote straight ticket. Dumb.
Well, and I will say, I don't typically buy into the whole... By the way, everybody who's watching, at least say hello. I feel like I'm...
I don't care.
I feel like you're staring. I feel like you're staring at me. And give your opinion. We want it to be a conversation, but I don't typically buy into that whole... Like, every election cycle, they're like, this election matters more than any other election has mattered before. Bullshit. The election after the stock market crash in 29 was pretty fucking important. Like, this one, however, why did your monitor turn off? Ah, there you are. That was weird.
That was weird.
Like Scoob, I think it was a ghost.
All right.
But yeah, this election is particularly for the economy. I think culturally it's not super duper important. I mean, it's important, but it's not like make or break important. Economically, it's a very important. And the fact that the economy isn't really the number one issue that they're talking about it, but
blows my mind.
It's wow. Like, don't get me wrong, they talked about it. But the biggest issue, honestly, I would argue from this whole Republican debate, I would say the biggest issue was probably Trump. Which makes sense because they were all fighting for second place. But I mean, I'm trying to talk about Chris Christie, but he was thoroughly unmemorable.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, we can go ahead and move on unless you had a.
He had
certain
one.
way.
He had one line that I found
Rather good.
Yeah, but that was about it.
What did he say?
I'm trying to remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, like you said, he was so.
I mean, he was Chris Christie. He didn't do anything unexpected. I do get the. I did think it was funny when he was giving Vivek shit about being like Obama, like copying Obama, and then Vivek's like, "Yeah, why don't you give me a hug just like you gave him one?" Which, okay.
I didn't catch
It's
that.
a good dig, but it's being blown way out of proportion. He's referring to when President Obama visited New Jersey after Hurricane Sandy, I believe it was. Which
Is that where he said that he was a... No. He also, Vivek had a... he was speaking to a crowd, and he was basically... No, it was last night. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was last night.
Yeah.
He was saying that he's a skinny guy with a funny last name.
Yeah, just like Obama said.
Just like, and he literally almost said it word for word.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, if Vivek had run as a Democrat, he
would have won for sure.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong. We're not going to talk about Vivek yet.
Yeah, Vivek is going to be spoken about probably more than anybody.
Honestly, I don't think he's going anywhere. Even if he doesn't win this election, he's not going anywhere. That guy.
He's going to be in politics.
He's got some issues that we'll address, but
Yeah.
other than that, like everything he said, wholeheartedly was just like core fundamentals that this country needs.
I have some issues,
Like
but
I said,
we'll get to those.
I have
we'll get
issues
to
too.
those. But for those of you
Who
in the
next?
comments, do you have any thoughts on Chris Christie? Feel free to share them. We can revisit it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get rid of like Asa Hutchinson. I mean, he was thoroughly
Well, that was that guy with the comb over, worked for the FBI. What was his name?
Asa Hutchinson. Yeah, that's him.
Did you see his eye?
Governor of Arkansas. Oh, maybe we're not talking about the same
Okay,
person.
maybe not. Like I said, I don't know any names. I can't remember.
I mean, Asa Hutchinson is the definition of a career politician. He's not particularly... I liked some of the stuff he was saying, but a lot of people on that stage said a lot of empty words, that sound good, but it's just like, okay, but what do you mean by that?
Man, all right, I gotta say it. Vivek literally burned them all when he said, I don't have lines written and I'm just gonna spew out a speech. He was basically saying, that's not what we need to be doing here. He's like, you need to be telling them what you're gonna do. And I was like, listen.
And Vivek did no such thing.
No.
That was the thing that I noticed.
He was basically calling them out, but then still didn't really say anything of value per se.
And part of that, because I've listened to Vivek talk at length, and he's got ideas. Like, he's got some plans. I don't think they're fully fleshed out yet, but it's early.
Well, unless you have the House and the Senate, those ideas don't matter.
And that might be why. But Vivek understands what the point of this debate was. He might have been the only one who understood what the aim was. I think DeSantis understood it to a point, but believe me, there's going to be a lot said about DeSantis too. But I mean, Asa Hutchinson, and then I don't even remember the other guy's name.
I'm gonna look up some names. Or actually, do you have names on that?
I don't.
Okay, one sec.
He's the only one I don't remember. Republican primary debate. Yeah, I literally remember everybody except for the guy I'm thinking of.
Oh my gosh! All right, let's go with Haley Pyle next.
Nikki Haley?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that. I just read what I saw. It's Nikki Haley. My bad.
I want to do.
Or do you want to do someone else?
The other kind of no-name guy who honestly shouldn't have been there.
All right, hold on.
Because I have some thoughts on Nikki Haley. Oh, here we go.
Did you find it?
Brett Baer. Oh, no, that was Brett Baer. That was the moderator. Come here.
Okay, I got him. And you have Doug Burgum,
Yeah, that guy.
former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson, Mike Pence, Vivek, Tim Scott, and former Donald Trump, who decided not to come.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that because that. Did you watch the Tucker?
I did. I watched it today.
Oh,
I found it thoroughly uninteresting.
really?
Yeah, I did. It was a fluff piece. He didn't really say all that much. But trust me,
If you notice, Tucker tried to ask tough questions. Trump shut him down 3-4 times, and it was annoying. I was like, dude, I was like, you got to move on to something.
Some of Trump's answers really surprised me.
Well,
I thought he was being kind of
some of his answers were doing this.
I thought
Like
that's what I'm
usual.
saying. I thought he was being kind of a puss, though.
It's like, don't get me wrong. I voted for Trump in 16. I voted for him in 20. And at this point, I'll vote for him in 24. But the motherfucker does not answer freaking questions like most Democrats. He will run circles around it and then not give any of the points that he needs to.
He's like, well, what chances do you think you have in Wisconsin? Well, Tucker, I'll tell you. In Wisconsin, I love the people. They're great people in Wisconsin. Fantastic cheese. You know what my favorite kind of cheese is, Tucker? The kind they put on pizza. The best pizza is from Pizza Hut. You know Pizza Hut, the place where you get the best pizza, the best cheese, just like Wisconsin. Wisconsin is the best cheese. And you know what else Wisconsin has? The best people.
I know nothing about Wisconsin.
Yes, Mr. Trump, but do you think you will win Wisconsin? Well, Tucker, like I said, Wisconsin has the best people, the best cheese. It's fantastic. It's the best cheese. It's the greatest. You know, and much like that, I love Wisconsin.
Pretty much sums it up.
I mean, that's a Trump circular answer.
But I will say, facts matter. And
the
our
fact
economy was so much better.
And the fact of the matter is that if it hadn't been for me, they would have had to been importing cheese from China. And I stopped it. I put a tariff on Chinese cheese.
Yeah.
So that they can make American cheese.
This is what I'm saying. Everybody's got their problems, and I'm sorry, but there isn't a freaking single president ever who does not have skeletons.
Calvin Coolidge.
No skeletons?
No. Honestly, I'm not going to go out and say.
I'm going to find something.
Here-
Wait.
Good luck. That was kind of. Calvin Coolidge is not appreciated enough because you know what happened during his presidency? Virtually nothing.
Oh, okay.
But if you look at his policies, if we could get actually, you know, DeSantis reminds me a little bit of Coolidge, but Coolidge was even more reserved. Coolidge was very much the federal government shouldn't do anything if we can avoid it. And there's he wasn't a particularly known talker. There's an anecdotal story.
So basically he was for small government?
But he actually did small government. But there's an anecdotal story about him where he was at some sort of dinner, I believe at the White House, and a reporter came up to him and said, "Mr. President, I have a bet going on with another friend of mine that I can get you to say more than 2 words tonight." He allegedly looks her dead in the eye and goes, "You lose," and then walks away. And that pretty well sums up Calvin Coolidge.
Oh, Calvin Coolidge. I don't know anything about him.
That not many people do because he's not talked about in school because he just didn't do a whole lot.
All right, who are we talking about?
Doug
Burgum?
Yeah, Doug Burgum.
All right, he's North Dakota governor.
The only thing he did that I appreciated was because I guess he tore his Achilles tendon earlier that day, and because he had a cast on or something or a brace, and he was on stage. And he was like, "Well, they told me to come here and break a leg, and I guess I did a little too good of a job."
I didn't get that joke.
Yeah, it's because I think he said he broke his leg, but I learned today I guess he tore his Achilles while playing basketball or something. That's what I had heard. I don't know that, but I thought that was pretty charming. He just seems like kind of a small town country bumpkin sort of guy.
Oh wait! Burgum. He's the guy with the longer hair.
Like kind of longer up, yeah.
Slick back.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. He had some pretty good things to say.
I didn't dislike him. It was just kind of like, why is he here?
Yeah, I was just kind of like this guy. I was like, who is this guy? That's kind of like Ramaswamy though. I was like, where'd this guy come from? And then I started doing some digging. I was like, oh.
Well, but the difference.
We'll get into that later.
The difference is with Ramaswamy, you're like, where'd this guy come from? The other guy, you're like, where'd this guy come from?
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you what, he didn't come from Wisconsin because I saw the cheese he was eating and it was really subpar cheese. They're not known for cheese in South Dakota. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had. I mean, he made... Again, I'm always wary when politicians talk because, I mean, I'm convinced they're all fucking liars. So I mostly, when they talk, I read between the lines. And even with DeSantis, who full disclaimer, I'm still a Ron DeSantis fan. I'm disappointed with him in some aspects, but more performance than policy. He's got his issues, but I'm even wary of DeSantis when he's talking, about stuff. And believe you me, I have some concerns, and I'm going to address them. DeSantis, I'm not going to say he scares me, but DeSantis concerns me in some ways.
He seems kind of unhinged when somebody like
I want to
see
see more of that, though.
You want to see more?
That's his problem. He's too robotic. He's like, I am Ron DeSantis.
Well, I know, but when Trump did that stuff, everybody was like, oh, he's a dumb professional. He's not a president like, and it was because
except
of how
it got him elected.
Don't get me wrong. I'm saying that. But then after he got elected, people was like, he's not president like, and it's like, what the fuck does exactly? I was like, what the hell does president like matter? Like, I'm sorry, but if the country's burning, I don't give a shit who's saving it as long as somebody saves it.
Well, and this is something that I've said before that I think I probably didn't say it the best way, but I think it got misunderstood. When we were grading Trump and I said he wasn't very presidential, what I meant was in like the traditional way the media portray or how someone behaves as a president, kind of using Obama as the benchmark, because I think of the modern era, Obama was the most presidential of the presidents we've had. Now, there's more than one way to be presidential. I think Trump put forth a very strong... Trump led with strength, which at the time, I think was very presidential. It's just a different...
We need strength right now more than anything because...
Well, Biden has neither.
Russia is laughing in our faces.
Well...
so is China.
Not the head of Wagner. He's dead.
Who?
The head of Wagner, that paramilitary army, that private mercenary army.
Was he Russian?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, yeah, he's dead.
Like, we killed him, or who killed him?
Well...
Ukrainians?
It was allegedly a plane crash, but...
Oh, the plane that crashed with the, how many people were on it? Like 27?
I don't remember. I think, yeah, but the head of Wagner was...
I didn't catch any names from that.
He was
on
remember,
that?
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
That definitely was not Biden's doing.
No,
let's be serious here.
It definitely wasn't the work of Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't.
I mean, we have...
It certainly wasn't Vladimir Putin. It couldn't have been. But yeah, we'll move on to the actual candidates. What?
Oh, that was
it
funny.
certainly couldn't be.
All right. So
I want to save Ramaswamy and DeSantis till last, and I don't care what
so
order we do
then
them in.
obviously we're not talking about Asa. We got Mike Pence and...
We can do Mike Pence.
You want to do Mike? No. Mike Pence has to go before...
Mike Pence.
Let's do...
We want to represent some estrogen.
Let's do
real
Tim
quick?
Scott.
Tim Scott.
Do Tim Scott and then Nikki Haley.
Okay. Tim Scott.
Great Scott! I know nothing about him either. I listened to what he said. I mean, he had a couple good points.
I mean, nice guy.
All of them had good points.
He doesn't stand a chance. But it's not just him that did this, but you'll see where I'm going with this. This is one of my biggest... Oh, we're talking about Tim Scott. That was not a good slip.
That was sickening.
Did you get more Trump sound effects, by the way?
No.
Wrong.
Fired.
Wrong.
But, I mean,
True international effort to pressure.
But Tim Scott, so one of my biggest pet peeves...
I actually liked a lot of what he said.
I liked a lot, but it seemed very empty.
It seemed very empty and robotic, just like
that's
you're
what I'm
talking
saying.
about
It seems regurgitated. But I don't know if you noticed this.
Definitely rehearsed.
Yeah, but you will notice it after I bring this up. Okay, so I hate it when politicians, and actually Trump is the only one that I can think of. I'm sure there have been others, but he's the only one I can think of that didn't do this. When a politician, particularly in a debate, is making a point. At the end of their point, they will talk like this because they think they're emphasizing and being emotional, but they're not. They all sound the same, except when Tim Scott started doing it, he lapsed into a Martin Luther King impression. Because there for a minute he was like, I have a dream. He almost got it. He almost went there. He's like, and I believe that all men can be great in this country. He was very, very close. And every single person on that stage did it. And it annoyed the piss out of me every time they did. Nobody was exempt. And Trump, frankly, was the only Republican in 2016 that talked like a normal human being. Because he was the only one who would get up there and be like, listen, we're going to make the country, we're going to make America great again. He'd make his point and finish. He didn't. Could you imagine how ridiculous Trump would sound?
Ridiculous!
How ridiculous Trump would sound if he got up there and been like, and when we build the wall, they're going to try to tear it down, and we're not going to let them.
I mean, he definitely yelled like that at his.
But he didn't do it in that same
rallies,
cadence. He'd get up.
Debates, he didn't act like.
Well, but at his rallies, he would yell like this. He'd be like, "When we build that wall, they're gonna try to tear it down, and we're not gonna let them." He yelled like a normal human being. Hillary Clinton's the worst, by the way. If you go back and watch any of the time she's ever debated or spoken, she's the worst. We're going to win, and she lost.
Yeah, right.
No, actually, here, you'll know what to do. You'll know what sound effect. We're going to win the White House.
Wrong.
No. Biden, he's got such an issue with memory, right? So after,
I don't even know who you are.
I just watched that last night.
It's so good.
Bros before hoes. But no, like when Biden, I'm sorry, like I hope he loses. Just saying because if anyone thinks the country's running really well, like you're an idiot. Sorry, but
You're
anyway,
an idiot.
He's gonna be outside the White House the day after giving up everything,
You're an idiot.
and literally he's gonna be like this.
Shoot international pressure.
True international effort to pressure.
He'll be like, who are you?
My name is Jeff.
I got to get some new freaking sound bites, but still.
Yeah, we do need to get the air horn. I think.
And then
we need that.
and then when Biden can't come in, they're just looking at him and they're like, "Gonna cry."
Hey, you want to see my Joe Biden impression?
Oh. Yeah.
International pressure.
True international effort to pressure.
Oh, I got a good impersonation of him. That fucking hurt. Oh.
You gonna cry? You gonna cry?
Oh. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Oh, that hurt.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Oh, man, that really did hurt. It's the carpet. It burned my knee.
I don't know. Tim Scott, the whole time I was kind of like, it's a shame you won't go any further. Poor fella. I mean, they got to keep the money they fundraise, so.
Do you really?
Yeah.
We're running for office.
Let's do it.
Holy shit. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I figured like maybe they had to donate it or something.
No, they got to keep it.
Huh. Okay. That's how they get rich.
Well, that's one of the ways.
Oh, yeah. And, whether people want to admit it or not, insider trading. I'm sorry. Look at Nancy Pelosi. Oh, I'm sorry. Not Nancy Pelosi.
Paul
Pelosi. Pussy.
You know what Paul Pelosi says before he has sex?
Pussy.
It's hammer time.
Oh, fuck. That's good. I don't care what anyone says.
I don't think it's good for Nancy. But
This episode is brought to you by Bread Panera.
actually, this episode is brought to you by the Down the Middle podcast. And if you're not over the SmackDown for the debate last night, you can check out the Down the Middle podcast every other week on Sundays, where we discuss all things pro wrestling with myself and my co-host, independent backyard professional wrestler, Brian.
Brian Kaufman, right?
A.K.A.
Is it
Venom.
Kaufman?
Yep.
Okay.
But I believe he's on the commentary team now.
Oh,
I'm not...
he retired from the ring.
I think he did, or at least he had to step away for a while. I know he was having issues with his knee. But yes, that is also on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you can find your podcasts. Also available on the Arte Podcast Network, which you can check out all of our great and entertaining podcasts, all in the same place at artemedia.org. Anything else on Tim Scott?
No, let's move to Nikki Haley.
Oh, Nikki. Oh, Nikki, you did fine.
No.
No, she didn't.
I don't think she did. She was way too emotional up there. I mean,
Okay,
she's a
that,
woman. And
that-
I'm not hating on that. I'm just saying, like, women get emotional, so do men. But I'm just saying women get more emotional because they have those wonderful hormones that make them emotional, and we have hormones that make us hungry and horny.
ironically, for hormones.
It was stupid. It really made no sense. I don't really care. Anyway, she was what was it? The abortion issue between her and Mike Pence. Did you catch that conversation?
I think they all failed on the abortion debate.
I mean, did you hear what? I can't remember if it was Nikki Haley or who it was. I don't think it was Mike Pence because I'm pretty sure that dude's just like no abortion whatsoever. Like I don't even think
That dude would get on his knees and give Jesus a blowjob. I'm convinced. If it weren't gay. Because, you know.
Don't you talk trash about our Lord and Savior.
I'm not. I'm talking trash about Mike Pence.
But,
you know it's less gay if you're receiving the blowjob, right?
You're an idiot.
Oh God, I heard
funny.
I heard a terrible joke the other day, but it's funny. It's like, you know, hang on. How is being gay and wearing Crocs the same? Oh, dang it! I'm sorry, I messed that up. How is giving a guy a blowjob and wearing Crocs the same thing?
They're both gay.
No, you with both of them, you look down and realize you're gay.
Oh damn. You know, I don't understand the whole Crocs movement.
I don't either.
Like, and I'm gonna call it a movement because I swear that shit came out of nowhere. Back in the day, it was sandals with the straps, and I had them.
The fact that people actually call them sport mode with a straight face.
Sport, those things, they call them sport mode?
No, on the Crocs.
Oh.
When you strap it up,
Sport mode?
that's what they call it.
Ha! Gay. That's a meme.
I bet.
Shut up.
I bet Mike Pence wears Crocs.
Dude, okay.
Like not in the office, like on his day off.
All right. All right, so it's Nikki Haley, then Mike Pence.
Yep.
Okay, so
We were talking about the
I'll say because
abortion
I'm gonna
debate.
tear Mike Pence up when we get there.
We're-
No, I'm not gonna say he didn't do well.
No.
on certain things.
We're gonna disagree a little bit on that. But so Nikki Haley, I went back and forth on her honestly because on the one hand, I liked the passion, but like you said, it did. I think she took it a little too far because she didn't even. There were some times where she wasn't even respecting the fact that it was somebody else's turn to speak.
You mean Mike Pence?
Well, and Vivek.
Yeah. Well,
They were
Vivek
having-
was
They were having a shouting match at one. Well, she was having. Vivek was just trying
all
to
of them
talk.
were, and the moderators were like, hey guys, we're here too.
Well, speaking of, I'm glad you said that. Shout out to the moderators. I think they did fantastic.
Yeah. Compared to the last bullshit
Chris
show, Chris
Wallace.
Wallace. You know when Chris Wallace debated Trump for the
It was
presidency?
like, well, you know, I can't do a good so fuck it. I'm gonna do a bad Chris Wallace impression. Well, you know, Mr. Biden, it's well documented that you like puppies. So, can you tell us what your favorite kind of dog is? And now, Mr. Trump, it's well documented that you and the Supreme Leader of North Korea had anal sex. Can you tell me who was on top? And how was it? You know, like...
That's literally how it went.
It was like, oh, and by the way, Mr. Biden, we're also given to understand that you're a big fan of kittens. So, therefore, would you tell us, do you prefer puppies or kittens?
Who was the who was the male moderator? I can't remember his name.
That was Chris Wallace. It's something Bear, but they spell it weird.
Okay, so anyway, that guy, he actually did push back on a couple of people on certain things, but
they both did.
Yeah, and I feel they did a good job of doing it versus just being straight like divisive like Chris Wallace did.
I think they did a good job of keeping order without, like, for example, if gave them a little bit of leeway. Right. And by the way,
don't get me wrong, Fox News, you suck. Just saying. Anyway,
why?
Fox News is terrible. They're just as bad as CNN, and not in the same way. That's the problem. It's not in the same way. It's in a different way.
So every candidate too had the most like
because they fired Tucker.
Well, yeah.
Why would you get rid of your literally your best thing?
I'll be honest. I don't think they could have afforded it.
Greg Gutfeld is not gonna keep it up. I mean, I'm sorry. The guy's kind of funny.
He's not that funny.
He's not that funny.
I honestly think they couldn't afford Tucker after they had to pay out that $787 million.
Which, I mean, since when does I mean, I guess it is on the news. What was it, the Dominion?
Yeah.
Well, they also settled though because they could have got hit for a lot more.
They still had to pay money. It was still the largest settlement I think in history.
But in all essence, they really, I mean, they settled before taking it to like further court.
I know, but
they
that's
probably
still a
could
lot
have
of money.
gotten it, you know.
It could have gotten into the billions had it gone to it.
Well, I mean, what, like Alex Jones? Like how is that dude worth $3 billion? Or how much?
Because of the supplements.
How much was it?
I don't remember.
I think they're trying to sue him for like $3 or $4 billion, and I'm just like, okay, I'm sorry, but like he's well off, but he's not that well off.
I might be broke, but at least the frogs aren't gay.
Which is true.
Actually, no, it's not true.
Well, they're not gay. It actually, the chemical changed their gender.
Yeah.
Which is weird because it was not like a chemical process where like a male goes under a hormone therapy and becomes more feminine. Like it literally changed the gender of the frog.
Well, some frogs can do that. There are some species of frogs where that happens naturally. Like
but not the species of frogs that were near there with what was that something zine.
I don't remember. I'm gonna get it wrong, so I'm not gonna.
Well, yeah, we're tangenting.
So yeah, Nikki Haley, but so every single candidate except Vivek didn't do this too bad, but he still did it. Where I don't know, it's like they had to say everything in the longest winded possible way they could. Mike Pence was probably the worst at it. It's just like, geez, man, like make your point.
Yeah, like when he's like this, he's like, so.
No, that's not.
I'm telling you
is it Christopher
why
Walken?
You should vote for me.
I'm telling you why you should vote.
You just don't understand that there's a fly on my head. It's bothering me.
Damn it! I forgot to put that in the thumbnail. I was gonna put a fly on his head.
You know what's funny is the short I did today.
You wouldn't have seen it anyway.
The short I did today where I was green screening. For some reason, it didn't catch my voice, but I was like, I pointed to Mike Pence's head, and I was like, you guys remember the fly? And I was like, I'm not talking about Jeff Goldblum. Which is a good movie, by the way, if you've never seen The Fly. Have you ever seen The Fly with Jeff Goldblum?
Not the one with Jeff Goldblum,
It's good.
I've seen the original.
Is there an original?
Oh, yeah.
Before the 80s?
Oh, yeah. That
was an 80s movie,
no,
right?
It's an old movie.
Really? Help me. Help me. Yeah, because when he turns into the fly, like, completely, like, there's a gun up to his head, and he's just, like, got it all crazy, and he puts the gun up to his head, he's like... then he has a son.
So, yeah, Mike Pence was literally like... honestly, it kind of felt like, you know, when you're in high school, and it's like you have to write a 500-word essay, and you've got the word count. So instead of saying, we should do this, you change around to be like, it is vital to... instead of saying, we need to do this to save the economy, it's like, it is vital to the future of our nation that we engage in activities that are both economically and sociologically positive. And in doing such, vis-a-vis economically and sociologically, we can enhance the American dream for everyone, regardless of color, creed, race, background, etc., whether you're white, black, yellow, oh, that's racist, I should really strike that from the record, but we're already here, red, all the colors. We can all come together and make this country as great as it once was because I can't say make America great. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's like.
I just don't trust Pence at all. Like, I don't. There's something about him I don't like. Like, literally. When
Because Pence is this.
Well, yes. Because I don't care what anyone says. That motherfucker's bought and paid for. You know, like, but when he was talking, and he literally was like, have you ever seen the meme where it's talking about someone who likes their own Facebook post, and it has a line where it's licking his own nuts? Yeah, Pence last night was doing that. He was licking his own nuts on that stage. He's literally saying, he's like, oh, yeah, the only person that has any room to work in this thing is me. It's only me because I'm just so good and I know everything. I'm like, bitch, you still didn't get anything done either.
And, dude, you were picked because you were going to fall in line.
That was it. Like, literally, they wanted to, Trump wanted, you know, you had it set up. You had it set up for you. If you would have just done what you were supposed to, and I don't mean the
I was going to
January
say
6th bullshit.
tread lightly, but
I'm just saying, but honestly, like, from what I read, there was an article on NPR talking about in 2022, it took them 2 years after the election, because Trump was just talking about this on, what was it, Tucker Carlson's show on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
it's fucking Twitter.
And it was I found an article. It was in NPR. I'll post it in the description. I should have done that. But anyway, so basically they were talking about clarifying the vice presidential powers, you know, and it's like, if the law is written in such a way, why do you need to clarify it? And I'm not saying it's wrong or anything like that. You know, I'm just questioning, why did they need to do that if the law was there and Mike Pence couldn't do it? What's the purpose of clarifying a law that's already there? I mean, there's plenty of laws that make no sense because, for one, lawyers speak in a different jargon than we do. They have a different dictionary. A lot of people don't know that. We use Webster dictionary.
I can't remember what theirs is called.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Ask the Skull and Bone Society. Is that right? Skull and Bone Society?
I believe that's Yale, isn't it? The secret society at Yale.
Bush Jr. was in it.
Yep, I think Bush Sr. was too, but
he was Herbert.
Herbert Walker.
You get your ass back in here. I'm so tired of you.
I was gonna say, I'm so tired of you.
I wish I could get the whistle.
I can only do it like half the time.
Like, that guy who does it, oh, he's so good.
I'm so tired of you.
I can't even whistle. I mean, I can whistle, but. So.
Nick, we're supposed to be talking about Nikki Haley.
Fuck Nikki Haley. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, but okay. So the other thing, every candidate failed on the abortion debate. Now, just disclaimer, because I see some of you guys leaving. This is not.
They were probably leaving because I was getting all hot and heavy. They're like, "Oh man, this is too much." Pansies.
This is not about abortion in and of itself. What I'm talking about, this is about the conservative position on abortion. So, they all failed because they all claim to be pro-life conservatives, yet none of them said that they would support a federal
ban of abortion.
Yeah, not a one.
But
now
I agree with them when they say it needs to be at state discretion.
And here's the thing: I'm not saying that they're wrong, but that's an example of saying one thing and doing another, because that position makes sense, but it's not one that any of you have taken in the past when you've been asked about it in a different setting, except perhaps Nikki Haley. I think she's been on record saying, like, listen, I'm pro-life, but we have to be realistic about this. That's fine. And she was actually the only one who, I say she probably won that part of the debate, but that's just because she said it from the beginning, and everybody else is like, listen, I'm a pro-lifer. Even Mike Pence was still like, but, you know, they're going to do it differently in West Virginia. Why? If your position is that you're pro-life, why are you okay with the states deciding what they want to do?
Because unfortunately, you have to be that way.
But they're not saying they have to be that way. They're saying that they would be that way, and there's a difference. Because it's one thing to say, okay,
I get what you're saying.
So here's what I'm saying. I think if that is your viewpoint, like let's say you're truly a pro-life conservative, you can say the following and still save face, which is why I'm shocked that virtually nobody did it. You say, if I'm president of the United States, I will do everything. And Nikki Haley actually did say this. I'm sorry, Nikki Haley. In a way, she said it. She basically said, like, listen, I'm a pro-life, and I would be a pro-life president. However, we have to look at reality. We don't have 60 votes in the Senate. We don't have enough support in the House. We wouldn't be able to do it. And then the funny thing was, though, I forget who it was. I think it might have been Pence, actually. It was either Pence or it wasn't Vivek. It was I think it might have been Pence, or it may have been Christie, actually, who there were a couple of people that were kind of sort of just arguing the point that Roe v. Wade had. And I'm kind of like, well, but what you're talking about kind of sounds like Roe v. Wade, where they were talking about I think it was Tim Scott, except he was calling for 15 weeks. But so basically they were saying, it's like, listen, we should have a standard of like a minimum. Actually, it might have been Nikki Haley. I can't remember, but a couple people were saying something effective like, listen, we should just have, like, across the nation, there should be a reasonable, ban of a certain timeline, and then it can be left up to the states for particulars. I'm like, that's Roe v. Wade, dipshit.
I actually changed my stance on abortion. Like, you know about where I was,
Pretty well.
But I actually, after learning certain things and whatnot, I've changed my stance on it completely. Like, I've been watching a channel called, what is it, Abolitionist or something like that. Basically, that
sounds right.
They say they're not pro-life because the thing is, like, pro-life would mean you value life, correct?
I'm
just saying when someone says they're pro-life, what they mean is that they value life.
Now you're getting to the territory of all lives matter.
No, fuck that bullshit.
No.
I'm just saying.
But here's what I mean by that, though. So, like, we all know.
I got a point, so keep going.
So we all know all lives do matter, but in that context, we know that not. And this is
that shit.
Well, but this is where this
is just obnoxious.
But this is where it's problematic, though, because when you say all lives matter, it's an objectively true statement, but a lot of people who say it, that's not what they mean. So I understand where you're coming from. So for you, I buy that. But I think for most of the pro-life community, I think it's a what would you call that? It's not a dog whistle, but it's like a battle cry. It's like when they say pro-life, they're talking about abortion. They're not talking about, because there are a lot of people who are pro-life, anti-abortion, and very much pro-death penalty.
That's what I'm saying. Like abolitionists, they're pro-death. They're pro-death.
So
penalty.
what it sounds like? What is it? Is it one guy or is it a group?
I'm not pro-death penalty.
Oh, you said he was pro-death penalty?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry. There are select few crimes that I believe death penalty should take place when you hurt children.
Well, but then you're getting into the age-old debate, which you can bring up Socrates, so I can nerd out for a moment. So when Socrates was convicted of corrupting the youth of Athens, there was a law in place where a Greek citizen could not, or an Athenian citizen could not kill another Athenian. So he was given the choice of exile or drinking hemlock, which would kill him. So basically suicide or exile. And they wanted him to be exiled. They didn't want to kill him, but he chose that because if you, like, they didn't literally kill him, but if you say die or leave and he chooses to die, you pretty much killed him. And so his last, I always like to think of it being his last act of defiance.
Okay.
But the concept of that is, does the state have the, and this is a question, does the state have the right to take a human life under any circumstance?
No.
I argue yes, but on very, very limited.
I don't want it to happen because the thing, like I said, all life to me is precious. Like, and I hate to say it like this. The only, like,
but
literally
you've
only
already
death
deleted.
penalty is someone who rapes and kills a child.
But you've already defeated your point then, because if there's an exception, then the.
Oh, I know. I'm completely sticking my foot in my mouth. But the thing is,
well,
like,
no, not really. I see.
Exception.
Not really. I see what you're saying, but you're kind of like. You're not kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like hardcore pacifists who are like, war is always wrong. Is it?
Well, how does that one statement go? If you want peace, prepare for war.
Yeah, that
100%. It's 100% truth. But anyway,
but I think you could make the argument that the best way to prevent having to use the death penalty is to have it and make it very well known what crimes will get you said death penalty.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about death penalty, I mean, abortion is a death penalty.
No, it's not, because there's no crime committed except the abortion itself.
Yeah, because you're killing an innocent life. Because
Yeah, so that's
at
not a crime.
At 3 weeks, guys, at 3 weeks, the central nervous system is starting to form. So
So
therefore,
I'm going to push
at
back.
3 weeks, they can feel pain.
I'm going to push back a little bit on that. So, and I don't know the answer.
And most women don't know they're pregnant at 3 weeks. There's
Well,
no
that's-
fucking way.
That's not even. I'm gonna, and I don't know the answer to this question. This is just me playing devil's advocate.
Sure.
So you're saying there's a central nervous system, right?
Yep.
Okay. So
3 weeks.
so you know what else has a central nervous system?
A plant.
Yes.
Yes. And honestly,
Or
you freaking vegans. No, I'm just kidding.
or so let's I'm trying to think of a good example. So there are even certain kinds of bacteria that will react to things like heat and
Like
light.
bacteria on Mars. You know, that's life.
I mean, in the scientific sense, but we kill bacteria all the time.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not conflating a human fetus to bacteria, but
The only difference, though, is if you leave the human fetus alone and just go about your life and just be healthy, it's going to grow 99% of the time, it's going to grow into a full-blown human. So therefore,
yeah, most of the time.
So therefore, no, like 99% of the time, like all those actual rare abortions that take place, you know. So that this is what I wanted to hear last night. I wanted to hear someone talk about that stuff, you know, like actually spitting out facts. And there are no presidents that are for that.
Well, and there's not a single conservative that will admit to the actual rarity of those super late term abortions. I'm not saying they never happen, but they are they're nowhere close
Right.
to common.
And
now, the
I
fact that there are places where that's even entertained, I think is a problem. But you know what stopped that? Roe versus Wade.
Nah, Roe v. Wade was bullshit.
How?
Get
How,
rid of
how,
that,
how do you
take
figure?
it back to the states.
No. Let's have
Sure.
this discussion. How do you figure? How was Roe v. Wade? How was Roe v. Wade bullshit?
Well, I mean, it probably helped keep fathers out of the home. I mean, think about that, because I mean, if a woman can just go get an
I would
abortion
argue.
and not stay with
No.
the man.
I would argue the birth control pill did far more of that than Roe v. Wade.
And on top of that, I mean, don't get
Because
me
here's
started
the
on
thing,
birth control pill that fucks with women's
Well,
hormones. It makes you crazy.
the thing is, what I would wager, certainly in the early days, why most women ended up getting an abortion was the fact because the guy left. So I think that point is.
And I'm
pretty moot.
I'm saying this stuff as more of a shock factor. Like, don't get me wrong. Like,
We're doing it for the clips.
I'm just saying 3 weeks
And actually,
is crazy. Like,
and actually, this is a really good example of how you can have differing opinions on something and
still not be assholes.
and not be dicks. So yeah, but I would like to have that conversation. How is Roe v. Wade bullshit? Now I'm not saying Roe v. Wade
Phrase
was,
the question a little different.
you had said Roe v. Wade was bullshit. I want
Yeah.
to know how,
Well, I mean,
especially compared to what we have.
it should have
now.
never happened. It should have been the state's discretion.
But we have that now, and that here's the problem with that. So Roe v. Wade put a blanket deadline for every single state, and then states
What
could.
was it?
I don't remember. Was it 20 weeks, 25? No, it wasn't that.
Which is way too far, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but
I don't have the
if
information
you don't
to
realize
make
you're
a call.
pregnant after 4 weeks, like, I mean, you
4 weeks isn't
okay,
that
I'm
long.
sorry. I'm sorry. Like 5 or 6 weeks.
I think it was 8 weeks, wasn't it? Hold on.
I can't remember.
I'm gonna look that up because I'm not sure.
And like I said, my opinion is not going to be popular, and I don't really care. It's never going to happen. So I mean, you know, they're never going to abolish abortion, you know, stuff like that, you know. But I mean, it's not allowed in, you know, many other countries, you know, but yet the United States, we're all about it, you know. Eat
Okay,
your
so-
processed foods, you know, get your diseases and your cancer, but it's okay. You
So-
can have an abortion too.
So essentially, Roe v. in layman's terms, during the first trimester, the decision to terminate pregnancy was solely at the discretion of the woman. After the first trimester, the state could regulate procedure. The
What-
state
what
could
did you say
regulate, but after the first trimester, so that would be 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah,
16 weeks.
No, it's
12.
not 12 weeks.
I mean, really though, like, I just don't get it. If a woman doesn't have her period,
Oh,
like,
you
literally
don't
after
don't
a
go
month
there.
and a half,
Don't go there.
why not?
I mean, I'm gonna tread lightly here.
I don't care.
You would-
YouTube, like, it's like you guys need to get your shit together, and
No,
real
that's not- that's-
conversations need to happen.
That's not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the fact that I don't have a uterus and I will never have a uterus. So.
Fuck that shit. You can have an opinion on it.
I
Was
have
the
an
Holocaust
opinion.
bad?
Well, okay, fair enough. But,
There you go.
Okay.
I'm just wondering.
Well, there's a bit of a difference between.
I was told to give you more angst tonight.
It's not gonna
Sasha was like, she's like, get him, and I was like,
get him.
She didn't say get him, but she was like pushed back on a lot of stuff, and I was like, all
Well,
right.
if you want to talk about the Holocaust, let's think about it like this.
I love Jordan Peterson.
I know. My impression's getting better, I think, too. So
Your impression never was bad.
I always thought it was kind of lacking. It was like, listen, if you're going to be honest with yourself, if you were in Germany in 1936, you would be a Nazi. See, I lapsed out of
You
it.
see what happens when I don't have an edible.
They're not bad.
Well, the thing is, man, like I deal with chronic pain, and whatnot.
That's true,
So
yeah.
like, at this time of night, I'm worn out from the day, and whatnot. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's like I would love to have a Roe v. Wade debate, but
I'd have to get my argument
See,
sound
but you know
because
what?
I said that without a sense of authority. I mean,
you didn't have much to go on. You believe it.
I know what I want to say, but the thing is, like, I can't.
Well, say it. Maybe
enunciate it right now. No,
maybe,
like, I'm gonna
maybe
sound stupid.
no. Maybe we can help you construct an argument.
Well, for one, I don't know.
So you believe here? We'll try.
I just think it was bullshit because, like I said, the only reason was because, like, when did Roe v. Wade? What was it?
78, I think.
78.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
78.
so when did what is the thing that all conservatives literally go off of when they're talking about taking the man out of the home?
73. Sorry.
70. That's fine.
73.
But you know what I'm talking about? Like there was something that was enacted that basically made it to where women basically were.
The expansion of the welfare state.
But what year was that? Because it was around similar to around that time.
I would still argue that the birth control pill did more than anything to.
When was that?
60s, late 60s, I believe.
I'm telling you, dude, the birth control pills, like, there are other contraceptives. Birth control pills, literally, like, have you heard the? I don't know if it's true or not. I'm pretty sure there's a study
all
on it.
I'm saying is
It changes the way a female sees a man.
Yeah, no, that's pretty well, and it makes sense because it's messing with it's well, not messing.
And
It's changing.
I read something. Like I said, I don't know if it's true. Anyone can fact check me. But basically, when they're on birth control, they do not respond to pheromones and stuff the same way they
not
would
in the same way. No.
off of it.
Well,
you know?
because they're essentially.
They're attracted to more feminine men. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if that's true.
I'm not going to say feminine as a blanket statement, but their body essentially thinks it's pregnant. So it's not a conscious decision sort of thing, but on average, it's been said that when a woman is on birth control, since her hormones are regulated as though she is pregnant, she is attracted to more caring and supportive aspects, whereas when a woman is not on birth control, they tend to be more attracted to, like generalized masculine traits. So there have been
Weird, like nature intended.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, nature's not perfect.
Because the thing is, women search out. I'm sorry, women who are not on birth control, they search out people who are protectors and want to take care of them and have a family. But when they're on birth control, you have liberals.
So I will fight back on that and say, well, maybe.
I'm not gonna say them all.
No. Here's what I would fight back. I'm gonna argue from the
I'm
feminist.
speaking out of my ass, guys.
I'm gonna be a feminist for like 2 seconds. Like, well, maybe you should be a man that does both.
No.
Fair, and fair enough. You might ask yourself, why not do both?
How about a woman that does both?
I mean, fair enough. But,
You guys want equality, right?
oh, don't even. Ironically, a woman that does both is not a feminist.
No, they're just a hard worker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, ironically,
And honestly, in this day and age, women pretty much do both. They go to work and they basically
but
raise
I would
kids.
make the argument that that's why if
Not
they,
all of them. Some.
But I would make the case that if they found a man on a balanced probabilities, if they found a man that gave them a lifestyle in which they didn't have to do both, they could still do both if they wanted to. But if they didn't have to do both, I think they would feel a lot happier about that.
Right. We diverted huge. Let's get back on track.
Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about.
That was my bad.
Oh, it's okay. That
was a good conversation.
This is why long form content is better than these debates, because we went down a path, but Oh, so anyway, how they all failed. Not a single one of these candidates was staunchly pro-life because they all made caveats. And it's like, I'm sorry, if you're a pro-life conservative, a caveat is out of the question, because if you honestly believe, and I'm not saying this is necessarily the case, but if you honestly believe that abortion is murder, there is no circumstance in which it could be okay in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry. That's the argument. That's the argument that they make until they're on a debate stage and they have to address,
And then they're like, 16, 18 weeks.
But my point is, if you're a pro-life
Have some
conservative,
backbone.
if you're a pro-life, well, it's not even that. It's like, have some standard. If you're a pro-life conservative and you believe abortion is murder, you truly believe that. What's the difference between?
Consistency.
Well, but here's the thing. What's the difference between 1 week and 16 weeks, aside from more pain?
Central nervous system.
Well, but it's worse at 16 weeks. That's what I'm
Heartbeat.
saying. I'm saying it's worse at 16. What's the difference between 1 week or 8 weeks? If you believe abortion is murder, what's the difference? There is no difference.
Central nervous system. They feel pain.
So it's worse later. That's my point.
Yeah. No, and I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, it's so hard to catch it early.
Well,
Like, people just don't know.
But here's again.
I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're getting with a guy and he doesn't pull out and shoots his gravy up in you, I mean, I'm sorry, you should probably go get a freaking abortion pill, or maybe you need to be making a doctor's appointment in 3 weeks.
Well, it's also
Be proactive.
It's also kind of, think about this one though.
I'm gonna get us a lot of hate tonight.
If I am going in the ocean and I decide I'm going to jump into a bucket of fish guts
And then jump
and
in the
roll
ocean.
around and then jump in the ocean and the shark bites my ass cheek off.
Your fault.
Well, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's the shark's fault too. But I rolled around in chum and got into his house. Or her house. Female shark might bite my ass cheek off.
There you go, ladies.
Are you telling them they should be
Shh,
lesbians and they
no,
don't have to
no.
worry about it?
Okay, I thought you was gonna say what I was doing.
Oh.
And listen, like I don't have a problem with women wanting to be feminists or anything like that, but whatever. But do you? But I'm just gonna say, like,
If you do yourself, you don't have to find a guy to do it.
well, and on top of that, I mean, many women, unfortunately, are on birth control. I mean, I honestly, the crazy women that are on birth control and they're like, oh man, it's like, you know what? I'm glad you're on birth control because you're not procreating. I would rather have a nation, just like Vivek said last night. We need to get the Vivek.
We will.
Okay, so like Vivek said last night, he said, a president who's a thinker would be the best thing. And I'm butchering it, and I was like, dude, I agree with that. But there's certain things about him.
I think we're pretty well done with Nikki Haley. That was, I mean, she also wasn't afraid to call out Trump on some of the.
Sasha said she really liked Nikki Haley.
I think Nikki Haley will resonate better with women. I mean, I do.
She's a woman. What do you know?
But it's not even. It's part of it, but. And she's almost destined to win any abortion
Why the
debate.
hell didn't what's her name? Why didn't she run?
Palin?
No.
Condoleezza
She ran
Rice.
as a Democrat in 2020.
Tulsi.
Tulsi. Why didn't she run as a Republican, dude?
I think she.
I know she's new.
I'll tell you. No.
Republican.
I'll tell you why. First of all, she's not a Republican.
She switched parties.
She officially is a Republican now.
Yeah, she switched.
Oh, I thought she just went independent.
Nope.
Oh, good for Tulsi. I'll tell you why Tulsi didn't run.
Sort
because,
of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think she officially joined, but.
I'm fairly certain she did. I could be speaking.
Well, while you look that up, I'll tell you exactly why Tulsi didn't run. Because Tulsi is smart, and Tulsi knows a lost cause when she sees one. If Trump is part of that race, there's no point in.
You're right.
Now, a lot of people give DeSantis shit for this. I'm actually going to defend him on that because I think he waited. I think he waited as long as he possibly could before making that decision because I think he understood that. But we'll get into that when we start talking about Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSanctimonious.
I think you're right. I believe she is
She's an independent.
I don't know yet.
Now, I think here's the thing. I think the Libertarian Party should snatch her and RFK Jr. up. Now, I don't think RFK Jr. would do that because I think he's pretty.
You're right. She's independent.
She's independent. Libertarian Party needs to snatch her up.
That was my bad.
I was gonna say I knew she announced she was an independent, but I didn't hear her say she was a Republican.
Well, she was going on a lot of conservative outlets, and for some reason I got it confused, and I assumed that she did that. And I was like, honestly, I don't think that was a good move. So honestly, her going independent, perfect.
Yep. No, I think she could run as an independent and do okay.
All of my political ideologies and everything like that will confuse the fuck out of people.
Well, I think that's true for most people if you really sit down and
and
talk
it
to
should,
somebody.
because for one, I mean, you should not just be agreeable 24/7.
No, just because it's on a party platform. There's a lot of things Republicans do that I think are dumb as shit.
Yep. Specifically, like fighting each other, when instead of fighting each other and having 8 different freaking people running,
Well,
why
that's-
not get together and
that's
all
a-
put your fucking weight behind one person?
Well, that's a primary. It
I
happens.
know, but I'm just saying, like, none of these other people besides Vivek, DeSantis, maybe Pence. Pence has a pretty big following.
I don't see Pence going
I don't
anywhere.
see him going anywhere. But
Maybe Haley will get some more support, but I don't. She'd be
I've
at
seen
the.
a lot of support for Pence,
She,
and I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Dude's a jackass.
Well, to be fair, we had the benefit of seeing how he was as a governor.
I mean, he didn't do horrible. Like, he did good things.
I'm not saying he did a horrible job, but like,
I'm trying to think of one thing in particular he said
and
that
that's
he did
and,
as
and that's just it.
governor.
Oh
in
no,
Indiana.
he did have a surplus. That's true.
Well, did he have a surplus?
Yes, he did.
Or was that Holcomb?
No. He had a surplus. Pence had a surplus.
Yeah, Holcomb was handed a freaking thriving freaking
And kilt
governorship.
it. And kilt it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had a surplus, the past year or something like that, and it was like $2 billion a surplus for a state, and I'm just like, you know what that means, guys?
But
We paid too much.
no, here's what it means. That was an artificial surplus because we had a $2 billion surplus. The roads were the shits.
Oh, they're starting to work on them now, but
They
I'm
are
telling
now,
you what,
but when we
like,
had that surplus,
everywhere is fucking construction.
it was like that under Pence too. But I wouldn't say there were areas where the roads were the shits, but they'd been let go. But he was doing infrastructure projects and still had that surplus. And then by the time Holcomb was around, the roads are the shits again. I don't believe we have that surplus. Well, we wouldn't have that surplus after COVID anyway, so that's kind of unfair. But we're not talking about Holcomb because he's not in the primary debate.
Can you imagine if that motherfucker ran? I would laugh so hard.
I'm so debating on whether or not we should divulge what we found out about him, what was alleged.
Oh, yeah. Nah. Keep it
Not
to
yet.
yourself.
Not yet.
We got to keep this somewhat
I'll
PG-13.
put it to you this way: when he told me that, I wasn't surprised, but it was kind of like I would want to know the truth.
That's what I'm saying, man. If you've got skeletons, get them out in the open before you run for office. Just saying.
I think there's a lot of politicians that have skeletons that you and I have never
Oh,
heard
yeah.
of.
Like Joe Biden. He is a skeleton.
Skeleton.
True international effort to pressure.
I don't know anything else. I feel like I'm forgetting something with Nikki Haley, but that was the big one that stuck
Probably,
out.
but like, I went back and forth on the debates between that and the Trump and
interview.
Carlson. Oh yeah, we still got to get to that.
Well, basically what Nikki Haley was saying is that, which I agreed with the sentiment, but I don't think it came across the way she wanted it to, is like, listen, yeah, we're talking a lot of Republicans are up here talking this big game, but we have to be realistic. And that's what I've been saying ever since Biden won. When we were leading into 2022, I was like, well, everybody's saying this, but I'm telling you what, I don't see it. I think we got to be realistic here. Like when they overturned Roe v. Wade, not to get back on that horse, but like when they did it, I said, well, there goes 2022. There goes the red wave. They did it at the wrong time. Point blank. And the proof is in the pudding. And what's funny is there are still, and it's mostly MAGA people, not to pick on anybody, but it's true. It's mostly MAGA people that are like, fuck you, Trump forever. It's like, okay, why did all of his candidates lose? Every single fucking one.
Well, because he personally endorsed them.
That's what I'm saying, though.
So therefore, just because he endorsed someone doesn't make them a good candidate.
But they're hitching their horse to that wagon. That's what I'm saying.
I know, and most of these people are just like, hey, actually, who was it that who ran and got Trump's endorsement, and then literally after he won, he turned on Trump?
DeSantis.
No. Yeah, I mean, hell, DeSantis, Mitch McConnell.
Oh yeah, Mitch McConnell was shittier.
He's a fucking scumbag anyway.
I'll be honest. I understand why DeSantis kind of turned his back on Trump.
Well, what was it like? Trump
McConnell-
was trying to say that DeSantis was a Soros agent,
Which is
and even last night when he was talking, he was like,
yeah.
He removed prosecutors that were funded
Funded
by
by
Soros,
Soros.
and they said they wouldn't do their job. And he's like, you know what I did? I kicked
You're
them out.
fired.
And I was like, you know what? Hey, that's fine. Keep Florida great, DeSantis. Not a president, bro.
Maybe not yet.
Not yet. Yeah. Sorry. Get some more years under your
Well,
belt.
and see, the thing is, hindsight is 20/20. And when we get to DeSantis, I'll go further into what I mean by that. But yeah, Nikki Haley. That was about the only thing that really stuck out to me was how she was. I mean, because again, she's speaking the truth, but it's not a pleasant message, but it's an accurate one. It's like, we're talking about all this stuff, but we don't have the votes.
You got to have the House and the Senate.
You got to have the House and the Senate.
But I'm sorry, at this point in time, with America literally being fed up with how it's being ran.
But that's why you need to focus on the economy, because that's what's going to get you in the White House. And then, I mean, you can make strides in 2024.
I only heard one person, I believe, talk about the economy last night, and I want to say it was Chris Christie.
No, DeSantis talked about the
Did he?
economy. Vivek did a little bit, but it wasn't.
It wasn't enough in my opinion.
It should have been front and center.
Should have been like I don't understand why the moderators weren't like, what are you going to do for the economy?
Because
that's a loaded question and they can't answer it. Because
I'll tell you why. Because Fox News was focused on competing with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well,
252 million views on Tucker's freaking Trump.
But
Trump,
here's the funny
interview.
part. You know what?
And that was earlier today. It might be more.
I heard somebody say this. The Trump interview went off at 9:42 p.m. You know what happened during the debate at 9:42 p.m.? The moderator said, we're going to go to a commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to ask the candidates whether or not they would support former President Donald Trump.
I didn't catch that.
I didn't catch it either. Actually, it was PBD. I was listening to a podcast on the way here, and they pointed that out.
Fuck. Damn, I forgot to listen to Patrick.
And I actually disagreed a lot with what they said, PBD and his crew. I disagreed wholeheartedly.
He's a massive conservative.
Well, no, I mean, just and how they reacted to the debates. He's like, they're talking about how, like, DeSantis never looked at the camera. I'm like, yeah, he did.
Yeah, constantly.
Yeah, I watched him do it. I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's just little things like that. But it's interesting because, different perspectives, right? That's why conversations are important. So moving on from Nikki Haley, we'll talk about the second coming in his own mind, Mike Pence.
Man, dude, I'm telling you, he was licking his own nuts.
He did better than I thought, but there were a couple of times where he was coming across as kind of a bully. And, I mean, it was funny.
Listen,
but
I'll say it right here and right now. Bring bullying back.
Well, but not when
kids are way too soft nowadays.
I said
to be
that
able to fucking handle real life.
I said that the other day. I was like, some of y'all need bullied.
Just saying, man.
Well, no, and to be fair, Vivek took it in stride and got him back.
We didn't have bullies in our school. We had to bully
We were
each
the
other.
bullies. But no, Mike Pence said a couple of cracks about Vivek being young. Well, I think my favorite one is like, listen, we don't need on-the-job training. And I'm just like,
dude,
ooh.
Seriously though, that was a good line.
Vivek got him back though.
I know. What did he say back?
I can't remember. I remember it being good, but on-the-job training got me. I was like, oh man.
When who was it? What was it? Pence also says we need someone who's not too young and not too old.
Yep.
Was that Pence?
Yep, that was Pence.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I'm gonna go off of what you've done. I don't care your age.
I mean,
I really don't care.
I mean,
your
they're
age.
right, but Vivek is 38. I wouldn't say he's too
young.
young. He's young, but
That's what I was saying, man. I was like, Vivek. I was like, dog, just
here's the thing.
pack your bags.
Vivek,
come back in 2028.
Oh, he is. Vivek is not stupid.
I'm just saying, if he gets involved in maybe Congress or something like that, get some experience. He's a CEO of a pharmaceutical company. That's already red flag. Are we talking about Vivek now?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
no. Just a point on Vivek.
All right.
Vivek is playing a very smart game here because he's running like he's trying to win the presidency. But nothing bad will come out of this because he's only 38. He's not on the clock like some. DeSantis is kind of in the same boat. He's older than
That's
Vivek,
true.
but he's not much older. What is he, 44, 45?
Something like that.
Yeah, so DeSantis and Vivek are probably playing the smartest long games because they're both trying to win, but they're only going to come out of this better than they were when they got. Well, maybe not DeSantis, but he's not doing it. It's
I'm
not
trying
super
to
stupid.
hate. I mean, I am hating on DeSantis, but I don't see why he would turn down a vice presidency from Trump.
I don't think he would, but I don't think
He
Trump
said he
would.
would.
Yeah, sure.
But do you think he'd
So
actually
did
turn it down?
Vivek. So did Vivek.
Oh, did Vivek? say
Yeah,
that?
he said he wouldn't do it, and I think Kamala Harris said she would turn it down too.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. They were probably like, hey,
I'm sorry, nobody.
We need a biracial person in here, and you seem to be the only one that actually ran for presidency, and you're well known. So hey, let's put you in.
Yeah, no, I don't.
But I'm
believe,
not qualified. It doesn't matter.
I don't believe any politician when they say they wouldn't take it because it's like, okay, you didn't win the presidency. What are you gonna do?
I've got an argument. When people say
Wrong.
when people say, and I'm talking like anybody, when they say someone's not qualified to be president, and I'm just like, anybody can be president.
Well, they're all qualified to be president. They're on the damn stage.
I'm just saying that just because you're on stage doesn't mean you're qualified.
I mean, you meet the
But
literal qualifications.
I don't think there's an actual qualification other than being old enough.
I don't
and
know.
getting
Well,
popular.
okay, you mean it like
I'm
that.
sorry, but if Kanye could get a little bit of votes, I'm just saying, dog. Just
Yeah, we gonna put some drip in this bitch.
gay fish. And speaking of Kanye, where the fuck has he been at? He's quiet.
He went back to Atlantis.
Nah, what happened was he got fucking cloned. You know, I'm just kidding. Seriously though, like, did you see him recently?
Yeah.
He looks different.
He does, putting on some weight.
Yeah, and who's the one guy who went to a mental institution and came back? John Fetterman. Have you seen him now?
No,
he
I haven't.
changed for a third time.
Oh, it's not.
Remember
him
how
anymore.
he had those big ass ears?
Yeah, it's not him anymore.
They're tiny and folded back. I'm like, dude, did you like clip him or something?
That's not even his final form.
It's weird. I know, right? And you know, like, regular day Americans can see this, but yet no one says anything about it because they're afraid to speak up.
No, we're not.
I said regular Americans.
John
We are
Fetterman.
not regular.
You know what John Fetterman is? I don't remember what they're called, but Men in Black, the little aliens that are inside people. That's John Fetterman. And they just upgraded his suit. They were like, listen, there's some problem with the ventilation. We need the ears to pull back a little
Galactian?
bit. Galaxian? Yeah, a
Something like that?
Galactian something.
Because they said there's always a galactic cruiser outside the world about to blow it up.
Yeah, I want to say Krolatan because I've been watching Young Justice. It's
That's
the
a
same.
good movie, by the way.
Men in Black, yeah. It's
All three of them were good. Like, the third one was but like,
But you're right. They're
solid
good.
movies.
Yeah.
They're really
And which
good.
is odd for a trilogy to have all decent, except we're not going to talk about Men in Black International. That was
Who was that?
Chris Hemsworth was in it.
Was it Hemsworth? I thought that was
Yeah.
Pine.
No, Hemsworth.
Was it Hemsworth?
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I didn't really love it, but I didn't hate it.
It was predictable as hell.
Oh yeah.
It
But
was an interesting concept.
most movies nowadays are effing predictable.
Yeah. Kind of like presidential elections. Actually, no, they've not been predictable at all because everybody's like, Hillary Clinton will win in a landslide. Donald Trump will win in a landslide. Joe Biden's not going to get the nomination. It's going to be Bernie again after he didn't get it last time.
Yeah, I remember arguing with somebody one time. They was like, "Don't you want your kids to have health care?" I was like, "They have health care." What are you talking about?
And that's a separate issue that honestly my tune is changing. I would want assurances, but we're not talking about
Listen,
that. They also didn't talk at all about healthcare.
they
you notice.
didn't.
Not once.
All right, listen. I've got something for you for health care. I think universal health care would work
I do too.
if everyone. I'm sorry, if America just said to all the food companies, no more processed foods, no more chemicals in the food, get rid of all the shit out of the foods and make it real food again. Guess what? You know what would go away? The need for health care. I'm not saying people wouldn't get sick, but you know what I mean?
But to
like
the
absolute crazy
the
need.
absurd degree.
How many obese people, diabetes, all that stuff, and it's all linked to processed foods. And yeah. I mean, I'll just say processed foods. You know, seed oils and all that fun shit. Don't get me wrong. I'm sitting here drinking a Mountain Dew that has glycopropylene in it.
I was gonna say do that, and then drug company they can come out with a pill to help somebody get over a caffeine addiction, like to help with the withdrawals.
Fast.
What do you mean fast?
Just fast.
Fuck you! I can't.
3
do that.
days, dude.
I can't do it.
You'll
I
get
tried.
you'll get rid of everything.
I tried.
How long did you last?
I actually did better than I thought. I think I made it to 4. I did a. You know what my mistake might have been though? I did
Did you say 4 days?
No.
Oh.
I think my problem was I did a water fast too.
Oh
So
no, that's fine. Water's fine because the thing is, I mean, you got to fill your belly with something.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's where I fucked up.
And you want to know the best thing, dude?
But I made it 14 hours.
You have a blender?
Yes.
Dude, crush up ice. Just eat it. Because you're tricking your brain into thinking you're eating.
Well, yeah,
That's what I
I
did.
made it about 14 hours. But you know what? Again, I'm not even
14 hours?
Yeah.
Man, you really are a foodie.
No, you know what it was though that killed me is
A gun?
no, it's my job.
Dude, Go ahead.
It's my
I'm
job.
Shitting myself. Hey!
Hey. Anyway,
Oh, it's your job. Okay,
Yeah.
stressful, out and about. You're a stress eater and drinker.
if I could take if I could take 2 weeks and be somewhere in solitude, I could do it.
See, if I'm working and if I'm busy,
If
if I worked for, I know.
if I'm
nobody works for
working,
25 hours.
okay, so I take that back. If I was given like 2 weeks of like a routine task where I didn't have to deal with other people,
Oh, okay.
I'd no
Stress
no
you out,
issue,
just like fuck this shit. Give me the Big Mac.
no issues.
They're gross. Big
They
Macs
are.
are
They
gross.
really are gross.
That sauce, everyone's all fan of it. I don't get it. It's disgusting.
But yeah, Mike Pence is also disgusting.
Fuck Mike Pence.
He was so annoying though
Yeah, he was.
with the Jesus shit.
And it's like, listen, like, I'm changing my tune on religion and whatnot, but I'm not gonna push it down anyone's throat.
I don't mind somebody being religious. I don't even mind them bringing it up. Although I have my issues with Vivek, but we'll get into that. But Pence just didn't let it go.
I'm sorry, but like literally, when someone else is like, he's the fucking moderator is trying to ask Pence a question, and Pence is just still talking, and literally the moderator had to go, Mike, I'm trying to ask you a question.
Yeah.
That
Well,
was embarrassing as
Yeah,
shit.
and particularly that bit where he's like, well, when I accepted Jesus Christ as my personal savior, I did, and I brought him into my life. I did everything through that lens of Ephesians, what the fuck ever. And I'm just like, Mike, you're a grown man. Stop.
It's like, Mike, your cornrows are rolled too tight.
No, but I found him quite annoying. I did think I like that he got a chance to sort of stand up for himself, though, when it came to Trump. That was a good joke. It was like, it's time to bring up the elephant not in the room. Sorry, I like that joke.
But like I was saying, going back to the January 6th bullshit, like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, so what we're going to do is we're going to read the 12th Amendment. Electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom, at least, shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the person voted for president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. And they shall make distinct lists on all persons voted for as president and all persons voted for as vice president. This is the most recent version because it has been amended. And of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate, who is the Vice President, by the way, the President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for President shall be the President, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed, and if no person have such majority, then from the persons, which the majority in this case would be 270 electoral votes, and if no person have such majority, then from the persons having the highest numbers not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for as president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of a member or members from 2/3 of the states, and a majority of all the states shall be necessary to a choice. And if the House of Representatives shall not choose president, whenever the right of choice shall devolve upon them before the 4th day of March next following, then the vice president shall act as president, as in the case of the death or other constitutional disability of the president.
So
Hang on, we're
Keep
not
going.
we're not there yet. The person having the greatest number of votes as vice president shall be the vice president, if such number be a majority of the whole number of electors appointed. If no person have a majority, then from the two highest numbers on the list, the Senate shall choose the vice president. A quorum for the purpose shall consist of 2/3 of the whole numbers of senators, and a majority of the whole number shall be necessary to a choice. But no person constitutionally ineligible of the office of president shall be eligible to that of vice president of the United States. I mean, that's it. I don't. There's nothing there.
Okay. NPR.org. Everybody knows NPR. It's, I'm sorry, like NPR is, in my opinion, very left leaning. Like they can say they're about this.
As of late, yes. Historically,
Okay.
they've been.
So, this is December 23rd, 2022. So not very far from here. Well, 9 months?
Yeah.
Okay, 9 months.
It'd be a baby now.
Okay, so lawmakers have said over and over that they want to prevent another January 6th style attack on the U.S. Capitol from ever happening again.
Well,
It took almost 2 years, but on Friday, as a part of government spending package, Congress passed the first federal elections legislation to that aim. The omnibus spending bill includes a section that would reform the Electoral Count Act, 1887 law that governs the counting of electoral votes in Congress. We are a part of the matrix. Anyway, for years, legal scholars have worried that the law was poorly written and in need of clarification. And former President Donald Trump and his allies targeted the law's ambiguities in their attempts to overturn the 2020 election. Now, with that being said, they went through this law and changed it to clarify it. I'm sorry, but that's just sus. Like, I mean, granted, the law was written in 1887. So, I mean, you know what? Honestly, I don't know. I kind of recant that.
Okay,
I don't know.
So, Section 4 of the Electoral Count Act provides both detailed procedures and counting rules for specific. I'm not reading the whole thing because it would be very long.
Is that the Voting Act? Because the
Yeah.
Voting Act is one I was talking about.
Yeah.
You said Electoral Act.
Electoral Count Act.
Okay. I was going to say, because I don't think what Trump in his thing with Carlson, he was saying it had nothing to do with the count. There was something else.
Well, right, but here we go.
I can't remember. What he
It
said.
significantly expands upon the 12th Amendment, which states only that the President of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. The central section of the Electoral Count Act has been significantly criticized. It is a, quote, mammoth section, some 814 words in length, that makes it for difficult parsing, and many of its substantive rules are set out in a single sentence that is 275 words long. Okay, so under Section 4, Congress is required to be in session on January 6 following the election to count the votes, although this date can be changed by law. Due to the 20th Amendment, the joint session is conducted by the new Congress, whose term begins on January 3rd, rather than the outgoing lame duck Congress. The Senate and House must meet in the House chamber at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on January 6, and the President of the Senate, the sitting Vice President, is the presiding officer. Section 7 specifies the seating arrangements in the House chamber. 2 tellers must be previously appointed by the Senate and 2 tellers in the House of Representatives. The President of the Senate must open all certificates and papers purporting to be and open all certificates and, quote, papers purporting to be certificates of the electoral votes, and hand them to the 4 tellers as they are opened. The certificates and papers must be, quote, opened, presented, and acted upon in the alphabetical order of the states, beginning with the letter A. The tellers, having read the papers in the presence and hearing of the 2 houses, must make a list of the votes as they shall appear from the certificates. If there are any objections to the returns from any state, see substantive counting rules below. They must be resolved before the process can continue to the next state. Quote, no votes or papers from any other state shall be acted upon until the objections previously made to the votes or papers from any state shall have been finally disposed of. For an objection to be considered and voted on, it must be in writing and made by at least 1 representative and 1 senator. This has happened only 4 times. The first time was in 1969 with an objection to the faithless elector in North Carolina. The second was January 6, 2005, with a formal challenge to Ohio's electoral votes. 2 objections were made at the 2021 United States Electoral College vote count And January 6, 2021, an objection was made to Arizona's electoral votes by Representative Paul Gosar and Senator Ted Cruz. Gozer. Is it Gozer?
I don't know.
And on January 7th, an objection was made to Pennsylvania's electoral votes by Representative Scott Perry and Senator Joshua Hawley.
I like Holly.
I mean,
I like turtles.
okay, so role of the vice president. The Constitution instructs electoral votes must be sent to the president of the Senate, who is the sitting vice president of the United States, and that the Senate president must, quote, open all certificates in the presence of both houses. However, the sitting vice president is sometimes a candidate for president in the election, is often a candidate for re-election to the vice presidency, and is almost always a partisan with a keen interest in the outcome. Recognizing this, one key purpose of the Electoral Count Act's procedural provisions is to, quote, to drain away as much power as possible from the Senate president, whom the law appoints to preside at the joint session when the Congress counts the votes. As the custodian of papers, the Senate president is required by the Constitution to, quote, open all certificates, which the Act further describes as, quote, all the certificates and papers purporting to be certificates. In doing so, the goal of the Act was to, quote, to reduce the Senate president's discretionary power as gatekeeper to an absolute minimum. Indeed, in one case in 1889, papers sent as a, quote, practical joke were presented to the joint session. Whether the Senate president can be required to present or not present any particular paper is an open question, but one commentator argues that concurrent action by both houses would settle the matter, with disagreement between the houses would see the Senate president's decision upheld.
Now, with all that said, that basically said that the vice president has no power, right? Is that what you took away from it?
Limited power.
Limited power, okay. So,
Very limited power.
was that the revised, or was that the original?
Well, they didn't revise it; they clarified it.
I mean,
I did
change.
I did not read the text.
The new legislation would raise the threshold for an objection to 20% of the members of each.
Okay, so
chamber.
no, that would have been the original because that only required one from each house.
Okay, so now that we're going for that, it's kind of weird, huh? Why would they need to change that to 20%?
I have to be missing something here because reading it like that. Well, I mean, they.
That's why I
Here's the thing,
searched
though.
out
They
this.
can raise the challenge, but he didn't have the power to stop it.
That's my point. So
Yeah.
what did they even change? Like, why did they need to go in and change anything? Because the thing is, if he didn't have the power, what's the point of changing it? Now are we on the same wavelength? I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but I'm just saying, like, it's weird, right?
I mean, it is kind of weird. It's kind of like
Tinfoil hat.
It's kind of like if somebody says, well, it's okay. They don't have the power to move things with their mind, but we better wear. They don't have the power to read minds, but we better wear these just in case.
They already read mine. I'm fucked.
If they can't read my mind, I'm protected.
All I'm saying is it's weird.
What's that guy on YouTube?
I don't even want to mention his name. I don't like him.
Well, anyway, this
Anti-profit.
Yeah. Well, I'm just pro-profit. Ha! Because I'm a capitalist.
I mean, because the thing is, like, the dude started off really well, and then he started attacking certain people.
He started bowing to YouTube, and that's what he did.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, you started off with a bang, dude, and then you started attacking people.
He started off on Pornhub?
And I can't really say anything. Honestly, I didn't come in here for peace and love. I came in here to attack. Just saying. Peace and love, motherfucker.
Large
Surprise,
fries,
motherfucker.
Supplies, motherfucker. I love
Rude
that.
dies, motherfucker.
So yeah, the Mike Pence thing remains unanswered, but I mean, the votes were certified. There were objections made. They were debated apparently because that's what happens, and so I guess in that vein, if they were debated and the challenges were dismissed, Pence couldn't do anything.
You know, the one thing that...
I would be very concerned if we lived in a world where the vice president could just be like, nah.
Listen, the only thing that I and like I said, I don't care, Joe Biden had all those counties and he won. We'll just go from there. But anyway, what is the problem? If he won legitimately, what is the problem with certifying, making sure that all the ballots, all the mail-in ballots and whatnot, had proper signatures and could be verified?
Well, but
if you won fair and square, what's the problem with that? I mean, I know it's going to take some time,
Well,
but
but
I'm sorry, but how many states didn't have their fucking elections done for what, weeks?
Well, but here's the thing:
3 weeks?
they were counting the votes from the electors, not from the people.
No, I thought they were. Yeah.
No,
Well, yeah, but that makes no sense.
No, that's how the electoral college
No,
works.
I mean, I understand how that works. I'm just saying that makes no sense. Then why the fuck did it take so long?
Well, no, we're talking on January 6th when they were
Well,
certifying
I'm not
the
talking
votes.
about that bullshit. I'm
okay.
talking about why did it take so long to finish counting.
I would wager to guess because they had a massive influx of ballots because it was easier than ever to vote.
Yeah.
Which I know. And
At
here's
what time in the morning?
Well, and here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They may have given Trump a gift in his Georgia case, which, by the way, I read the indictment. They did some illegal shit. Whether or not RICO will stand is another.
Who, Trump?
Yeah, Trump and his cohorts. Did they do things that were bad enough to warrant felony charges? I don't know. But the RICO thing, as far as I understand it, and I'm so not a lawyer, the RICO is going to be really hard to stick. And here's the thing. I now understand why they made it a RICO case, because if they didn't, they got virtually nothing. They got
Zero.
Well, they got nothing on Trump.
Well, also, in order for it to be a RICO case, what has to take place?
A criminal enterprise. Which I am going to get to read something.
But the wonderful thing called discovery has to be proven, and his lawyers get to look at it.
Oh yeah, but here that's not even the worst part. So
He did turn himself in today.
yeah, he did. Where is it?
I'm pretty sure he bonded out though, right?
Yeah, he did. $200,000.
That was it.
Yeah, I know. I was shocked. So racketeering, under the definition of the Cornell Law School, a set of illegal activities aimed at commercial profit that may be disguised as legitimate business deals, is defined by a coordinated effort by multiple people to repeatedly earn and profit. Now, the definition of the state of Georgia is different, but here's the thing. A lot of these counts didn't take place in the state of Georgia. So that's why it's got to be a RICO case. Because if it's not a RICO case, a lot of the charges... Now, what's funny, though,
But
is...
the evidence has to be sound to have an
some
actual finished indictment,
well,
charge, whatever.
probably the biggest one I would say is the conspiracy to replace electors in Georgia and the intimidation case with that poll worker. Because they did. They're caught. They've got evidence. They're pretty well dead to rights on all that.
But did Trump do it?
That's just it. That's why it's got to be a RICO case.
Exactly.
Because if it's not a RICO case, they can't really get Trump. I will say also...
They are working overtime so that he can't run.
But here's the thing. With that said, some of these counts are literal tweets. I'll be honest with you. I would say that 80% of the... Well, not the counts. What did they call them? The acts. I'd say probably about 80% of the criminal acts would be considered First Amendment speech.
Unless you threaten someone.
Well, and they did.
Well, who was the one lady?
I'm trying to
who was
remember her name.
literally, she was, I believe she was charged, but she threatened to unalive President Donald Trump, former President Donald Trump and Barron.
I'm not sure who you're talking
I can't remember her name, but anyway, like, she was
I know,
actually charged. And I was
know.
like, finally, you guys are actually going to charge
Yeah,
somebody?
I know who you're talking about, but
Whoa.
it's not the one that they intimidated.
No.
Which, by the way, that
was someone
alone,
random, I
honestly,
think.
makes you the shittiest person ever. To intimidate a poll worker, fuck you.
Well, I thought you were talking about the girl.
No.
And, and say that shit about a child.
Well, okay, there's two shitty people.
But I agree with you.
Yeah.
But did this poll worker, where was she at? Like, what state?
Georgia.
Was it in Georgia?
Mm-hmm.
Who's their governor?
Brian Kemp,
Republican or Democrat?
Republican. Who won in 2022, by the way.
Okay. So, to be honest with you, I want to know what's changed with their election laws since he's been in office.
I would want
need
to.
come back to that.
I would want to as well. But yeah, that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. We'll probably do that next week. We'll get into the indictment because there's a lot to go over in it.
I don't see why, like, all these people, like, say that woman, like, I'm not saying that, like, they didn't harass her or
because they did.
Whatever, because they did. But the thing is, what if they're saying that she did certain things, if they're allowed to subpoena certain documentation from the president and his cronies, they need to be able to subpoena her records.
And that's here's the funny part though.
They can.
Yeah, they can.
When the case is undergoing.
Well, and that's the thing that they gave Trump a gift. I think it's going to be very hard to keep that.
So they're going to find phone records.
Well, I think it's going to be very hard for them to keep that case in Georgia. First of all,
social media messages.
And once they do that, once it becomes federal, because frankly, I don't know. And again, this might. They're charging him under a Georgia RICO law statute. A federal one's going to be even harder to prove. But here's the other thing. I would think. Again, not being a lawyer, I think this case is really hard to prove because a lot of it didn't take place in the jurisdiction. Now, that's probably the main reason why it's a RICO case. But again,
why is it in Georgia? How did that?
Because that's where a lot of the.
Can you imagine if it was New York?
Well, Georgia was the big one where they tried to falsify electors to replace the legitimate election certificates from Florida. So they're guilty of forgery, intimidation, impersonating a public officer, trying to get some, I forget what the actual charge is, like trying to get somebody to break their oath of a public officer. Like they're guilty of a lot of shit. As it's laid out, if it's true in the indictment, then they're guilty.
Well, you read the indictment. What was like one of the I can't fucking sit like this. What was like one of the examples like of them? You said a federal or an officer
impersonating
someone impersonated an officer?
Not a police officer, no.
Election officer thingy?
Oh, hang on, let me find it.
Okay.
It's towards the back here. Let's. See, but a lot of these acts are labeled as false statements, but it's really First Amendment protected speech. Because like it might be false, but they may not have known that at the time, or.
But did any of those statements mention a direct person?
Yes, multiple.
So then it's not protected under the free speech.
Why would it not be? Oh,
I mean Alex Jones didn't get protected from free speech.
That was a civil case. That's not a criminal case. That's why.
Well, I'm just saying, like, well, how would that be a criminal case? Wouldn't that be a civil case against that person versus?
No. This is a criminal indictment.
No. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying, like, what? Read one of the examples of.
Well, I'm saying, like, for example, there's one for influencing a witness.
On Twitter.
No. This apparently was in person.
That's what I was talking about, like the Twitter bullshit.
That's bullshit. That's protected free speech.
Okay.
It should not be in here.
Okay. As long I just want to make sure we're on the same page for that.
Impersonating a public officer. Let's see.
That's fucked up.
Let's see.
People who impersonate officers.
By unlawfully falsely holding themselves out as the duly elected and qualified presidential elector from the state of Georgia, public officer with an intent to mislead the President of the United States Senate. Now again, it's not. I mean, they pretty well got caught.
Is that a felony?
I believe so. Yes.
Is impersonating an officer a felony?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it should.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. They can't get Trump on any of those charges, which is why.
He didn't do it.
Well, I know, but that's the RICO.
You have to have proof he instructed.
Well, not in a RICO case. You just have to prove that he was part of the conspiracy.
Oh, but like you said, you have to have proof. So.
Well, I mean, he was talking to all these people, so like.
Just because he's talking to them doesn't mean that he gets to control what they do on their daily lives outside of that.
If they can hold up the RICO case, they're got a pretty strong. Now the problem is a lot of the charges are bullshit.
Oh yeah,
and
because they're just trying. They're basically just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Pretty well, which I think there should be legal consequences for doing that because a lot of this is stupid.
Just like women who say they were, great
false allegations.
Yeah.
But anyway, we were talking about Mike Pence.
Fuck that dude.
Fuck that dude.
Jeez, dude, man. Like, these are good tangents, though.
Yeah.
Like, they all fold.
Believe it or not, we've not gone off topic one time except for that food thing. But that was kind of tied into healthcare. So.
Yeah, it was okay.
which they didn't talk about, but we were pointing out. So yeah, Mike Pence, he did a little bit better than I thought he was going to do, but still largely, I mean, he's Mike Pence. Although he was
Mr. Old Flyhead.
Although he was a beast when he debated Kamala, but that's like you beating up a 2-year-old.
That's shooting fish in a barrel.
That's shooting barrels in a fish.
That's how Kamala talks. No, you gotta make bad.
That's like the Stewie laugh.
Oh yeah. What is it? Yeah, you know that annoying laugh when you laugh really hard. Dude, what is his last name?
Griffin?
McFarlane. Seth MacFarlane's a genius. I was gonna say.
Well, he just has.
He may be a little lefty, but he's a good guy.
He just has really good manatees.
Manatees.
Well, no, it was the South Park episode, the Animation Wars. They said that Family Guy's writing staff were manatees that selected random joke balls.
Oh.
Sorry, that was funny.
Mike Pence.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Anything else to say about the douchebag?
Not really. I mean, that's kind of what he was. He was just kind of a douchebag.
I'm sorry, but literally, like I said, I've changed my stance on religion, and I don't need to go into it because that's between me and who, whatever. I'm not going to say anything. It's whatever. But anyway.
Hinduism?
No. But, no, I had an epiphany. But anyway, so.
Technically, wait.
I chose Occam's razor. You know what I mean?
No. I don't know what you mean. I know what Occam's razor
Penalty for not. I
think you're thinking
of
you're thinking about Pascal's wager.
What did I say?
Occam's razor.
Oh my God, Occam's razor. Seriously, I'm talking about simplifying something, and then literally I get that fucked up, man. That's
Occam's razor is simplifying something, but I think
that's what I'm saying. That's what Occam's razor is. But
yeah.
I see. It with Pascal's wager.
I got you.
Man. Anyway, so I just I made a choice. Whatever. Like if I die and nothing happens, whatever. It ain't gonna hurt me. I'm not really. They say to do this and that, but I'm just like, between me.
I guess that would be epiphany. No, that's not the word revelation. That's the word I'm looking.
There's more to it than just that, but
you had a revelation. Well, no, I guess that wouldn't really because you decided. So yeah, I guess that would be an epiphany.
But what are we talking about?
Mike Pence and Jesus.
Oh, no, okay. Listen, I have no problem with overly religious people, but literally when that is all that consumes you and that's all you talk about, it's not a fact that you're like, what is it that the Bible says to do? Go out and preach, right?
Yeah,
go out and preach the word. Evangelize?
I will make you fishers of men.
Okay, so yeah, that. So go out and preach, and I have no problem with that. That's fine, whatever, do that. But when that's all you talk about and it's all consuming and literally you can't even go 5 seconds without talking about it, it's more of an addiction. And I'm not saying that being addicted to religion's bad, but I'm just saying we're all addicted to something. I was talking about that with Sasha today. I said, everybody's an addict, and I said everybody has an addictive personality. Everybody's a dick.
I'm just remembering the line from Role Models. Now I'm addicted to caring, and when you're addicted to caring, you don't need an intervention.
I haven't seen that movie in so long, but that's a good movie.
That's right, Bill. I was not prepared for how funny that movie was.
Oh, it was way good.
Dude, the first time I'm watching it, I rented it because it's Paul Rudd, and Paul Rudd makes me laugh, so I knew it was going to be funny. When after he meets Augie, and he says the line, I'll never forget it, he's like, your kid's weird. Bet if I suggested a game of Quidditch, he'd come in his pants. I had to pause the movie.
You're laughing so
I
hard.
was belly laughing so hard, I slid off the couch, and it hurt. I was not ready for that. Yeah, any other thoughts about Mike Pence?
No, he's a white-haired bitch.
Yeah, pretty well.
That's about it.
I
so
bet you-
Vivek.
Yeah, let's get to Vivek.
How about Vivek?
Actually, you know what? Let's do DeSantis first.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about DeSantis. Damn, holy shit.
Which is kind of the problem.
He literally, you said that, who was it, Chris Christie? He was, basically not on anyone's radar that night because everything he said was just meh. But, DeSantis felt the same for me.
I
last night.
see. Here's the problem.
He said some good
I
things.
think DeSantis won the debate from a debate perspective, like actual debating on policy. DeSantis was the clear winner because DeSantis is one of the few people on the stage that actually can point to things he's done. So it was largely circumstantial. I think Vivek won definitely in personality. He was also the only dude up there who looked like he was having fun.
Smiling constantly.
And
And
it's just-
everyone was like, man, he just had a weird smile on his face. I was like,
Because he was having a
That's his
blast.
smile. Like, why is it weird?
Well, but here's the other thing. Vivek is a millennial,
He also has very big teeth.
and millennials shit on each other from birth. We're used to it. Some of those older people...
But who was to his left?
Was that Nikki?
Yeah, I believe it was
His
Nikki
left.
Haley.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Nikki Haley was
Literally,
to his left.
when he was talking, and she was like you could tell, like, he wanted to smack her so bad because he's like this.
Oh, I didn't get that
He
vibe. I
wanted
thought,
to just be like, bah!
well, there was one point where it was like that. Most of the time, I thought like he was having fun with Pence.
Where's his family from? Do you know?
India?
Both mom and dad, or
I
just
believe-
mom? Because I remember I heard
maybe.
him say last night that his mom was an immigrant. I'm
I think
assuming
both-
maybe his dad was.
I
one.
think both of his parents were immigrants. Yeah,
Oh.
I know. I thought that was weird. That stuck out to me when he was like. And by the way, the one my mom had to take, I was like, I thought both your parents.
Yeah,
were.
that's why I was kind of confused.
Well, no, his
civics
civics exam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and honestly, why isn't that?
See, here's the thing. This is one of the. Okay. Vivek is last.
Vivek is last.
You have to wait. Actually, fuck it. We're gonna talk about
fuck
him
it.
anyway.
No. DeSantis. Let's start DeSantis. Let's get
DeSantis. I think DeSantis.
Ron DeSanctimonious.
See, here's the thing.
I
I'm still.
hate pet names. Any fucking politician who does that, like, you're fucking cringe. Stop using pet names. And when people get on comments and they use pet names, that shit is so annoying.
I actually like them, but DeSanctimonious is not really
not
insulting. It's not.
Trump, who was it? Crooked Joe Biden.
Well,
He retired crooked Hillary.
He's losing his touch. Sleepy Joe was better.
Well, no, he called him crooked because the motherfucker's crooked.
Yeah, I know, but Sleepy Joe's funnier, and it was the original one.
I agree. But
So
DeSantis.
DeSantis was a clear winner from policy, and I don't think that's really debatable. But like I said, I think that has less to do with DeSantis, which DeSantis has a good record in Florida, particularly if you're a conservative. But even economically,
He's like their Lord and Savior down there.
yeah, which is funny because
when
we
I
get.
go there on vacation, literally everybody's just like, DeSantis.
But it's really funny because we get people, which this is why I don't believe what you read on the internet,
And I'm
folks.
not hating because I love Florida.
Yeah. But like, there's a lot of people in our comments that are always like, "I'm in Florida and DeSantis sucks," and I'm like, you have to be in the minority because he won by a lot.
That was a landslide.
Yeah, that is the definition of he turned Miami.
And I don't think that's been done in how many years?
I don't remember, but
A lot.
it's been a minute. Like it's been a while. DeSantis is really as of right now, and this is my opinion. DeSantis is the best choice overall, I think.
And that includes Trump. But
Here's why I say that. I think DeSantis would be the best bet against Biden because he's the one who fought against Biden and his policies the most out of everyone on that stage. Because all DeSantis has to do, I would actually, and this is why I truly believe Trump was a coward. I think he didn't go to that debate stage because here's why. Here's the thing. Trump knew that DeSantis would tear him a new asshole when it came to policy, and here's why. Because DeSantis kind of did it, but I think DeSantis needs to be in a debate stage with Trump, and I think that's where DeSantis will finally start to shine.
Well, don't worry because there's going to be one and he's
I know.
going to be there.
I know, but here's why. This is exactly what he'll do. Be like,
Talk circles around DeSantis'
No,
questions.
but DeSantis will use that to his advantage. Here's what will happen. Trump will be like, and Ron DeSanctimonious closed down Florida, and he'll be like, no, I didn't.
He
For
closed
like-
down the beaches for a little bit.
For like a month.
It's too long.
Okay,
When he said that everybody was closing shit down, I was like, bitch, you close shit down too.
yeah.
Don't
and
lie.
He was also the first one to reopen.
I understand, but still, a Nazi is still a Nazi.
No. That's
I'm not calling him a
it's-
Nazi.
I know, but it's
You-
not.
you
it's-
understand the reference?
It's not the same though. Here's the difference. So when they closed down the beaches, they did not have a lot of information. So all DeSantis has to do is make the argument, and he's made this argument. He's like, look, at first we erred on the side of caution, but then we were getting the data and we realized this wasn't, it wasn't going to work, and it wasn't as big of a deal as they were saying, so we decided to open.
Who's the governor of South Dakota?
I can't remember his name. He's so unmemorable.
Her.
Oh, her. That's right. Her. Yeah, but South Dakota is not a fair comparison.
No, hold on.
Because South Dakota has a population of like 2.
Is it? No. Is it Kristi Noem?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I guess I just must not have remembered her name. Well, they didn't close down, period.
I know, but it's South Dakota.
But
What's the
they
population?
still have big cities.
What's the population of their largest city?
Let's see.
And was there a city ordinance in that city?
Sioux Falls.
Yep.
81 million people. I'm sorry, but that if you want to talk about super spreading, 81 million people would fucking destroy that whole state if COVID was really that bad.
81 million?
In Sioux Falls.
No.
It says 81 million. Sioux Falls.
I can't see that.
I might be reading it wrong, but I mean
That's 81. That's 81 million square miles.
Why would it? My bad. I was like, what?
To be fair, I can't talk. I can't talk.
That was very stupid. I fucking read that with authority.
Don't feel bad. I did the same thing when I said I said Florida got 22 million new residents.
Oh my gosh, here we go. South Dakota cities by population. My bad. Sioux Falls, 181,000.
Okay,
That's still a lot of people.
Jacksonville. Hang on, I think that might be the lowest actually. The largest city in Florida is Jacksonville, both by population.
Like 2, 3 million, 5 million.
955,000.
And 180,000. So
now
one.
Hang on. So number 11, the 11th most populated city. I almost said popular like 3 times. The number 11 most populated city in Florida is Pembroke Pines, which is 169,740.
How much?
169,740.
And
where's
that?
Pembroke Pines.
South Dakota?
No. Florida.
Florida. Okay.
That's the 11th most populous city in Florida.
So you see how that's not now.
Granted, I'm not saying anything bad would have happened if Florida didn't shut down, but I would understand when you have, and plus, I'm sure Florida has a higher population of elderly who were an at-risk group in Florida.
Before the data.
Well, no, they're still a higher risk group, period, but
there's plenty of older people who are in good health that
I know, and I'm
didn't
not
even get sick.
I'm talking about before we had the data.
That's what I'm saying. You don't make decisions until you have the data.
No, you can make decisions, and how I always argue
when
about...
it comes to taking away civil liberties.
But you're I'm not for lockdowns.
No, you push back.
Here's the thing. I'm not for lockdowns, but in the absence of data...
Never. No lockdowns.
No. Okay, well...
Ever.
What about an Ebola outbreak?
Don't care. Let them die.
Dude,
I'm telling you what. I'm seriously like... When it comes to fucking, freedom and whatnot, I'm sorry, but you make your own choice on your own health.
But
that's the problem.
Okay.
They're being forced to choose.
No.
It's like you have a choice, but you have to choose what we choose, or you're a bad guy.
No. Okay, hang on. Back up. Because we're gonna use.
I'm talking a lot with my hands.
We're gonna use a real disease here. I'm gonna use Ebola. Ebola's extreme.
Okay, Ebola's fucked up. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I'm saying. And here's the thing: the context changes. So that's why I would say in the early days. Now,
how is Ebola transmitted? Let's go with that.
It depends on the particular outbreak, actually, but I believe it's usually skin to skin.
So not.
I think they've had outbreaks before where it got to airborne. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's.
I would say if Ebola was airborne, that would be fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Now, if they had a strain and they proved it.
Well, yeah,
now you've got people dying all of a sudden of Ebola.
That's what I'm saying.
We're
talking about an apple and an orange here.
Right.
But in terms of policy, that's the point. We're talking about two different things where the same policy would be taken completely different ways. Because in the event of an Ebola outbreak, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm going to mask everywhere because I don't want to get Ebola because that shit is scary.
Well, I'm pretty sure Ebola is small enough to fit through the fibers in a mask.
But here's my point. I don't care if there's anything. Even I'll take a talisman from a fucking Cajun medicine man. I don't give a shit. I'm going to do everything I can to not get Ebola. If they have an experimental thing to prevent Ebola, give me 6.
If there is one thing, if that outbreak, oh my gosh, if that outbreak happened, what did we learn in 2020? Get the fuck away from people.
Right. But that's what
you don't have to mask up. You don't have to do this, that. You just, like, were we talking about Walmart?
Yes.
When we were talking about that, and we were saying that, like, it was awesome when everybody stayed away from each other.
Here's why it's an apple and an orange, though, because there were a lot of people, and I was one of them. I'll admit it. I didn't take it all that seriously. I did some of the things just out of a courtesy and a desire to not have somebody yell at me because I just didn't want to deal with it. I treated it like I would a cold. Ebola is a different animal. I would not have been going out, period.
Now, if there's an Ebola outbreak, obviously.
If there's an Ebola outbreak, I'm buying a hazmat suit.
But when we've had a virus that really wasn't that bad.
But we know that now. When it was first going on, we weren't sure.
I know, but do you remember me talking about it within 2 months in, and I was like, this is bullshit.
Well, yeah, 2 months in.
And then 2 to 3 years later, they're like, yeah, it was pretty much bullshit.
Well,
they're not saying it's wrong. People did die from it. I'm not saying that. But the thing is, half of them had underlying conditions. They were sitting at home eating fucking Cheetos constantly.
Well, and then
I was in good shape in 2020.
Well, I know I was too. I was real.
We need to get back to it, dude.
I was real light back then.
People are calling us fat in the comments, man.
Because we are fat.
I know, but we need to lose some weight and get in shape. I've lost 15 pounds in the past.
Well, because you know what I did.
2 months.
You know what I did all the time because everything was closed. I went home virtually every day and just did DDP yoga.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because you're like, you need to get on this, and time.
You know what my problem is now? My house is too small to do it. It's a pain in the I don't have.
Oh yeah.
I don't have enough room. I had a room dedicated for yoga in my old house. Yeah.
So,
by the by, you got to come to Crunch Fitness with me sometime.
I know you said that.
Yeah. So Vivek.
Am I able to come?
Yeah, I got the membership where I have unlimited guest privileges.
See, dude, my gym is so lame. If I have a guest, they have to pay $10 a day. What's the point of that?
If I didn't have that, it's the same there, but I paid an extra $5 and I get unlimited guests.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love that place. That place is so fucking cool.
Well, we're going to have to make an appointment then.
Yep. So yeah, Vivek. Oh no, I had a little bit more on DeSantis, sorry. Or did we decide we were going Vivek? No, we were still
we
on
went
DeSantis. I believe that Ron DeSantis was very shrewd and calculated, maybe to a fault. That might be his biggest problem. I think he held out as long as he possibly could because let's be real, the Republican primary is going to be decided based upon what happens with Donald Trump. If he is able to run, meaning even if he is in prison potentially.
I don't think there's anything they can do to stop him. Does a fucking conviction
I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure.
Because guess what? They're pushing for this to happen soon. What is it? October?
They're trying, yeah, but
no. The prosecutor is pushing for October. I think it's October.
Yeah, but the trial's not going to be done in a month.
Exactly. So I'm just like, hey, guess what? Fucking Trump's lawyers, they can push this out for 1.5 years, 2 years, and then he'll become president. It's like, yeah, go ahead and go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Pardon.
Yeah. Well, if it's a state charge,
if he wins.
If it's a state charge, he can't pardon. He can't pardon himself. He doesn't have the authority.
Yeah, but they can indict a sitting president while he's in.
Yeah, but he was indicted before he was in.
He can go to jail afterwards, right?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. But at that point, I think you would see it pretty well go away because if he won, what's the point? But
yeah, what's the point if he wins?
Well, see,
here's getting it, guys.
What they're trying to do is they want Trump to end up being the nominee, but they want to do as much damage as possible because they do honestly believe that Joe Biden can beat him again. Now, where they might shoot themselves in the foot, though, is if Trump gets acquitted of all of this, he's got it. Because all he has to do is say, look, 4 indictments, 2 impeachments, a bullshit investigation about collusion that turned up nothing.
And this is coming from a guy who
I never voted
didn't
for
vote
the
for
guy.
him and doesn't even probably. I don't think you hate him, but I don't think you like
I
him.
don't hate him. I have my issues with him, but I have my issues with every candidate. Which I'll get into my issues with DeSantis right now. So Ron DeSantis, I'm a big fan of. I wish he would get a little bit. I don't even know what he needs. He needs a little bit more of an edge, because right now he's coming across as very robotic and a little bit too nicey
He just
nicey.
won the governorship in 2022. Why are you running for president in 2024?
Here's why. Because I do think he believes that he can do the job that needs to be done.
I think
I truly
he
do
can.
believe that. But I think
he
I
can.
think that's why he's running. Here's the thing, though. Before Trump had all these difficulties, I don't think he intended on running, which might be part of his problem, because he didn't have a long-term strategy, and I think he held out for as long as possible. And you'll notice they changed the law in Florida, because before he wasn't going to be able to run as a sitting governor. He would have had to resign.
You want to know how to make this lawsuit and everything go away with Trump?
How?
If he concedes and says he's not running, I guarantee it'd go away.
Oh, yeah, I guarantee you, too.
Guarantee it'd go away. They'd be like, oh, yeah, like you said. No point.
Now, see, here's the thing. If Trump was younger, man, he may have done that. And so you're like, yeah, Ron can run this time.
But he's getting older.
He's not
He
going
is
to...
older. How old is he?
78, 77,
78?
somewhere.
Joe Biden's what, 83?
No, he's not that old. He will be...
I don't know. He's like 95 in his fucking head.
But yeah, so here's where Ron DeSantis concerns me. So, did you mean to push a button?
No.
Oh, okay. Some of the stuff that's happening in Florida with like the books and the libraries and a lot of the I'm on his side now.
Oh, you're
But
talking about removing certain...
Yeah, but I'd be
If
concerned.
it's a public library, keep it. If
Well,
it's
no,
a school
no,
library...
that's not. But okay, so at first, and again, he hasn't crossed the line for me yet. I want to be crystal clear about that. But he keeps going further and further, and
pushing the envelope.
I'm just worried he might take it a little too far. Now I don't know if he will, because remember I hate calling it that, but I can't
Don't say
remember.
gay bill.
Yeah, that was K through third grade. Well, then they extended a lot of similar things, including removing CRT, which I agree with, from K through 12.
What's wrong with that?
Well, then they started removing stuff from colleges.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a problem.
And now I'm over here, I'm like, okay,
They're adults. You can't tell an adult what they can or can't read.
correct, yeah.
And if it's a college, they are literally there of their own free will, and they're paying money to be there. High school's different. They're under the
But I laid out
parents'
how
rule.
even, I think there's a small fly or something, because I think it just flew up my nose for a second.
Nat.
So I laid out where I would be mildly concerned. Like, I think it was in the Ron DeSantis episode, actually. I'm like, listen, especially in elementary school, no problem. Remove all those books. Once you get into high school, though, with certain ages, it starts to become a little bit more of a gray area, because you may actually have a student who's from a non-supportive home who maybe this kid is, maybe this kid's gay or whatever, or they're confused or what have you, and they don't have the resources at home. And some of these rules are problematic because, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but essentially, like, a teacher can't even talk to a student about it, even if a student were to come to them. You know what I mean? I'm all for saying, yeah, teachers, you can't bring it up.
No, teachers shouldn't even be allowed to talk about
If a student comes to them, though, really, you think a high school senior comes up to a teacher that they trust?
Well, the problem is you can't make a rule for just the 12th grade.
That's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, actually, you can.
Can you?
Yeah.
Well, then be like, okay, 12th graders, you can tell your teacher you're gay.
Well, but here's the.
And then they can have conversations with you. But the thing is, why is it they're talking to the teacher?
Because hypothetically,
Go and talk to the guidance
no.
counselor and then.
Well,
get
but
some therapy.
guidance counselors wouldn't be able to do it either under those rules. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and then
I must have misunderstood.
Well, and it's unclear and it's kind of vague. That's what I'm saying. It's problematic. So, like, here's another thing. There was a teacher that legitimately got in trouble for showing Strange World, which I don't know why you would show Strange World in a class, but that's
Strange World.
the Disney movie that had the gay character in it.
I never heard of it.
Yeah, nobody has. It didn't do well. It was a Disney Plus only
What do
release.
you know?
Well, it was a Disney Plus only release, I believe. But, there's just... So, okay, here's a perfect example. When we were in school, and I believe it was middle school, actually, we watched the movie Philadelphia in school. Theoretically, or maybe you weren't in that class, but we did.
No, I was with I was with Miss Newman. In 9th grade, you said?
I don't remember what year it was, but I know we were in high
If it
school.
was 9th grade, I'm pretty sure it was Miss Newman for me.
Maybe. I don't know. But we watched the movie Philadelphia, which is a great movie. Here's the problem, though. It's about a gay guy.
Who gets AIDS?
Well, he had AIDS, and then he sues his employer because he was unjustly fired because he's filed a wrongful termination suit because his employer found out he was gay and took away his health insurance because of it. And he has
Philadelphia,
AIDS.
though, so apparently it's not an at-will state. Because at will means you can be let go for any reason. Now, I don't have a problem with that.
Well, no, that's not entirely true.
Now, granted, if somebody has something like that,
discrimination.
The only way you can literally get the AIDS from them is if you're fucking, or can you get it through saliva?
No. In fact, there was a. It's not funny, but there was a.
Only through blood or
The
sexual
sex.
fluids.
Yeah. There was a case in Texas where somebody was charged with assault with a deadly weapon because they were HIV positive and they spit at someone.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people have gum bleeding.
Valid.
So,
Did not think of that.
Valid
point.
gingivitis.
Valid point.
Thank you.
That was good. Yeah. I didn't think about that, but so anyway,
This is what happened was when my ADHD.
technically speaking, under that Florida law, that teacher would have gotten in trouble. And it's not so much that I disagree with the law in spirit, but it's like that can cause a lot of unintentional problems because what's another really good example? The movie Alexander. Let's say a history teacher wants to show the movie Alexander to a class.
Alexander the Great, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But in that movie, Alexander is bisexual, and there's male on male.
Which is like a lot of people didn't know about, but the thing is that was very happened a lot in that time.
Well, and there we go too. Is that now off limits in a history class because it's true? Or how about the fact that the Spartans had a system in place in which young boys were mentored and...
Now, I agree with you. There's no problem with talking about it. But there's a problem with talking about what they do.
I understand that. But
because when you're talking about a heterosexual relationship, you're not literally talking about penis going in vagina and explaining all the stuff unless you're in a sex ed class.
Well, but
It's
there we go.
inappropriate anywhere else.
But there we go.
It's like, why the fuck is that in school anyway? Like, why isn't that on the parents?
Because parents can't be trusted to teach their kids about sex, frankly.
I know.
I mean, being real.
But the thing is, you're allowing the fucking state and the government to raise your children.
And it's a hard question. That's what I'm saying. It's very difficult. My only concern is I think DeSantis might take it a little bit too far and then start infringing on that freedom you were talking about.
Mini Hitler?
No, not even close. Like, I've had arguments with people.
No, he's not a bad guy.
He's about
no ill will.
DeSantis is about as Hitler as Churchill was. Like, come on.
He, like I said, he I don't think he has ill will. I think he just literally.
I'm gonna use a dirty word that you're not gonna like, but I think this is a good time to bring it up.
Sanchez?
I think there might be a small case of implicit bias here because I do think Ron DeSantis, and I don't mean this super disparaging, I think Ron DeSantis might be a smidge homophobic. Like, internally. I don't think his policy is necessary. I don't think he governs as a homophobe. But
he's a big advocate for the nuclear family. So, therefore, homosexuals are not a part of the nuclear family because, obviously, a nuclear family is a man and a woman. And if he's for that, that's his preference.
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying. So there's a bias in place. So
I don't care what other people do. Like, I don't get it. Like, why does it matter?
Here's why it matters.
As long as you don't fucking talk about it to children.
Here's why it matters, though. Because when you're pushing a legislative agenda,
that's an issue.
You may unconsciously. That's the thing. That's the whole thing. Implicit bias is a real thing. I think it gets overblown a lot, but it is a real thing. So the point of it is you're not consciously thinking about it, but because you have internal biases, even subconsciously, it's kind of like how they use the example of like, you know, if you're walking down the street and like the example they always give is like if you see a group of white kids versus a group of black kids, you know, statistically a white person is more likely to be on edge with the group of black kids. Now, that being said, there's a myriad of factors that can go into that, but for some people, it will exist, the fact that they will feel more uneasy just because the kids are
like 70% of crime by 15% of the population.
And you know, that's but I'm saying that's why implicit bias is tricky, because it's hard to check, because it's hard to identify.
Yeah, it's fucking tough.
It's very tough, and that's why. But so that's my point is, and it's very, very easy when you're on a crusade that's just in the beginning to overstep that line.
But fortunately for Floridians, they have this wonderful thing called checks and balances, to where the legislators that are doing this, and you know, like I'm assuming they're coming up with the bills,
correct,
and it has to go through them before it comes to his desk to be signed.
Correct.
And
but
therefore, like these crazy things that are coming out, like I would say that what you were talking about with the books being banned.
They weren't banned though.
Well, no, what was
being
it?
curated.
12th grade. Did it have anything to do with it, or were you just making
I think I was making an example.
Okay. But anyway, like, that's rough because, honestly, I mean, the human brain doesn't even fully mature until around 25, 26 years of age. So, therefore, I slowly kind of agree with the college thing, but honestly, I don't.
And people mature at different rates, because
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a tough call. So, but here's where it could be scary in president, because all of a sudden, if Ron DeSantis is president of the United States, the Department of Education is a federal agency, which is under direct authority of the executive branch.
So he
could direct the Department of Education to.
Well, they were talking about abolishing it.
Yeah, I know, and I think
I wholeheartedly agree.
I think he would, and I agree with that too. I'm just saying it's possible that he could.
Oh, what the hell?
Whoa!
It ain't 11. Is it 11 o'clock?
It is. Yeah, we've been going
Holy
a while.
Shit.
It's fun though. But yeah, we'll finish up with Ron and then go with Vivek, who I believe was the.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up soon.
I believe Vivek was the clear winner of that debate overall. But
oh, dude, Vivek was a badass last night.
He had the most owns of anybody.
Vivek?
I don't know. Is there
Got
anything else
for DeSantis?
I think it's sad because Trump is overshadowing DeSantis, and I'll be honest, I can't really understand it, because I think if your goal is to beat Joe Biden, I think DeSantis is your best bet.
If Trump wins in 2024,
I'm happy with that.
2028 is going to be a phenomenal run for every bit of them.
Maybe. Here's the problem, though. Trump doesn't have to worry about re-election. He's going to be unleashed. And after 4 years of Trump...
Can I do that?
What?
Can I do that? All right, now finish your statement. Dude, it's soaking.
Trump managed to turn the people that he... Not all the people, but he managed to... Joe Biden won that election. And a lot of it was... Joe Biden ran on an anti-Trump platform.
Joe Biden won the election.
Now, I think the election...
Wrong.
Now, to be fair, I think that election was stolen in the sense that they changed all the rules that heavily favored Democrats. But under the new regulations, the election was legitimate. Now,
I'm sorry, but that mail-in ballot shit is stupid.
Well, and here's the other thing about Trump,
Absentee
though.
ballots are still a thing.
Trump's attorneys now have subpoena power. So
yeah.
all they have to do to make all this go away, all they have to do is find one instance of legitimate voter fraud in any of the 5 states.
Gone.
In any of the 5 states in which they were accused of doing this conspiracy.
Kerry Lake.
In, was that Nevada or Utah? I can't remember. Or
no.
Arizona?
Arizona.
Arizona was one of them. It was
So,
Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania,
a doubt,
Georgia.
they proved a couple things.
So there we go.
There's one thing. So therefore, like, all his lawyers have to do is just bring that up. And
Well,
the
and
case
here's the
is
thing.
dismissed.
They don't even have to... Trump has to be found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. If they find evidence of even suspected voter fraud, that is reasonable doubt. And I think a jury that is politically unbiased, which that will be key to get him out of Fulton County, Georgia, will find that you can't really say that there was no voter fraud if they find any, you know what I mean? And out of 5 states, I think you're gonna find
Oh,
something.
my point. You mess with my dog, man.
What's your
You
name?
fucked him up for life.
What's your name?
Ezekiel.
No, my name's Jeff.
Oh, sorry, dude. All right. So, I was watching a video with a time traveler, and he said in 2028, Martin Luther King Jr.'s great granddaughter is going to run, and she's going to win, and she's going to unite the country more than anyone's ever done before.
As a Democrat?
I don't know. Don't know what she's going to run as.
Should be like,
She, I mean, I'm not.
True international effort to pressure.
all right. You got any more on DeSantis, or we want to go to?
Nah.
We want to go to the GOAT.
Vivek.
Okay, so here's my issues with Vivek. Now, I will say, after hearing him talk at longer lengths, I've come around a bit more.
You can't talk like that. Not you. Vivek. You can't talk the way he talked. You can't talk like that and not believe what you're saying and you know whatnot. Like you, I mean.
Au contraire.
I don't know. Like unless he's a fucking good actor. But the thing is, I mean, he's a CEO of a pharmaceutical company, which throws up a huge red flag for me. But at the same time, I'm like, he's making money and.
It's not. It's not one of the big pharmaceutical companies, though. And
It's big enough.
It's big enough, but I mean, it's not like it's not Pfizer, Moderna, or Johnson and Johnson.
They're still connected.
Sure, yeah, but here, okay, so here's.
What was the pharmaceutical company? Do you know? I'll look it up.
I can't remember, a bio something I thought, but so here's the thing about Vivek, and this is the first red flag I had, which this was actually I'm not even going to go there because it was taken out of context. I don't agree with Vivek's take on.
Ooh, biotech technology.
I don't agree with Vivek's take on there being requirements to vote before the age of 25. What I do agree with is that in order to graduate high school, you should have to take that civics test.
Yep, absolutely.
I agree with that 100%. I think that should be a graduation requirement.
If you're gonna make immigrants have to take that test, Americans should have to take that test too because it is embarrassing as fuck.
To graduate high school.
Yeah, no,
I think that should be a
know,
requirement.
But like, have you ever watched
Oh yeah.
Mark Dice and he goes
Yeah.
up and asks people his questions and
Which
they literally can't
okay,
even name-
and to be fair,
they're very easy questions.
well, but not only that. To be fair, I've seen the unedited versions of those. More people get them right than get them wrong. They're out there for an entire day, and they get like 8 people that
Yeah.
are complete dumbasses.
Don't get me wrong. I know it's in the name of content. I understand. We understand.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing about Vivek, and
His
this
company is called Roivant or Rovant. Would outfox the Pfizers and the Mercks of the world, seeing the hidden value in medicines that were too bureaucratically blinkered to figure out for themselves. I'm not gonna read that. That's
So I might make your head explode here about Vivek because
What was that sound? Did you hear that?
nope. I haven't said it yet.
I'm not crazy.
Your mind hasn't exploded yet. So here's the thing about Vivek, and actually I noticed this. He was on Jordan Peterson's podcast. So he
Oh, he
says,
was?
yeah,
All right.
it's very good. But he says thing, and he said this on the debate stage: God is real. Vivek invokes the Christian sense of God very, very often. However, Vivek is a practicing Hindu. Now, he said that he is of a Hindu tradition that believes in one God. That is not 100% accurate. There are sects of Hinduism that believe in a single creator God.
Well,
but
there's many different sects of Christianity.
No,
and
but here's
whatnot,
the difference, though. Hinduism has the pantheon. There are many sects.
Sect.
Yeah, plural of sect.
No X.
Yeah. There are many sects of Hinduism that believe in a single creator God, and then they have the pantheon of lesser gods. However, the way Vivek talks about religion is intentionally trying to invoke the spirit of the evangelical Christian, and it's disingenuous because, now again, I don't know Vivek's specific religious practices, but
That's the biggest difference between him and Mike Pence. Mike Pence is consistent with that.
Well, I think Vivek's consistent, but I think it's not 100% genuine because I think he knows what he's doing. He's trying to invoke the spirit of the evangelical right, but
Good luck with that.
Well, because
it's
it's Well, it's point blank. Evangelical white Christians are not going to vote for a Hindu. They're not going to. Is it racist? Maybe a little bit, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I would say it's preference. I wouldn't say it's racist. It's
Yeah,
religion.
valid point. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's racist per se. Because I'll tell you what, when I first heard Vivek talk like that, I thought he was great. I'm like, oh, okay, he's a Christian. You know, like maybe his parents came over here.
See,
because...
the way he talked, I assumed he was.
He's not though, and
He's
that's why.
Hindu.
That's why. Yeah, he's a practicing Hindu by his own admission. And
What is the? It's not a religion. Was it Buddhism? They don't even actually have a god.
there are
Right?
there are sects of Buddhism that are more religious, but Buddhism inherently is more of a
Reincarnation.
well,
correct?
that's an aspect of like Mahayana Buddhism has like a god figure.
Yeah.
But that's all like the weird Hollywood people got into that shit. That's Richard Gere's like, I'm going to teach you about Buddhism.
Kind of like Scientology.
I mean, it wasn't that far off, but Buddhism is more of a philosophy rather than a religion. Although there
That's
are,
why
like I
I've
said,
always had trouble with religions because they're fucking cult-like.
well, I mean,
I haven't met one
All-
that is
all-
not cult-like.
all a religion is just a big cult.
I mean, and that's what I've argued. You know, I was like, listen, I was like, you don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. It's between you and your creator. That's it.
Well, I don't.
You don't have to prove anything to anybody. It's just you and your creator.
I don't know that that's
Leave it at
true.
that.
I don't know that that's true, but who knows?
No, I'm saying if you're religious. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like everyone says, you have to go out and preach and do this and that. And I'm just like, listen, like, you don't have to. It says it's basically recommended.
Well, no, I mean depending on the religious tradition, it can be very clear. It just depends, right? But so that was the thing I noticed about Vivek, and I'm just like, I don't know that I like that. I don't have any issue with him being Hindu.
So that actually goes back to what I was saying with Vivek
About what?
not being legitimate, like,
And that
and acting.
it made me start to
Okay,
wonder.
you're right.
It made me start to wonder about him. Now, is it a big deal? Maybe not. And a lot of politicians dial up the Jesus, you know, when they're.
I saw through that smile. I'm just gonna say, I saw through the smile.
Who Vivek's?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was just like, I like this guy. I do.
Maybe
I genuinely like
maybe
this guy.
Vivek's the Antichrist.
Oh, dude. Wouldn't that be crazy? With everything going on in the world, it would just be like icing on the cake.
That's why-
And
that's
the
why he
cake
was-
is made of fucking human shit.
That's why he was smiling the whole time. He was like, "I got you, fuckers."
When he said the few things that he said that were like really good,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you just torched all
Now,
these
where
people
he
in front
owned
of millions of Americans.
where he owned it, and where I feel like he truly won was actually very early when he said the thing about he's the only one on that stage that's not bought and paid for, which, depending on how you look at that, is a very accurate statement. Because as far as I know,
We don't know for certain about Ron DeSantis.
Ron DeSantis has a pack.
That's what I'm saying, because there's been a few things like, oh, you shouldn't do this because the donor said something. Who was it that said that?
Well, I mean that's I would
Does
say
that ring
that's,
a bell last night?
Yeah.
Someone
He's,
said a donor said not to do this,
but he did it.
but he did it.
Yeah.
Who was that?
He didn't. That was DeSantis.
Was it DeSantis?
Yeah, DeSantis said that.
Okay. And
Now-
I was like, I respect that.
I
respect
think
the fuck out of
I
that.
think DeSantis is probably the least bought and paid for, and I wouldn't go so far as to say because being attached to a super PAC doesn't mean necessarily
But
you're bought
being
and
least bought and paid for still means you're bought and paid for.
paid. It depends.
1% of being bought and paid for versus 99% is still bought and paid for.
Here's the difference, and I'm
Zero
not
is
saying
not.
I'm not saying DeSantis isn't bought and paid for. And to be fair,
Yeah, nobody knows this for sure.
Vivek would be beholden to someone, but before this is over, it's going to happen. But here's the difference, though. So somebody like Trump, for example, you know, he had a super PAC behind him, and I bet you on more than one occasion they were like, "Listen, Donald, we want you to do this," and he went, "No."
He literally did, because he's just like, he goes, if you don't, yeah, I started giving him an accent. I was like, if you don't want to donate to me, why am I going Godfather?
I don't know.
You know what? I'm
You
going
know what?
Godfather.
They made
If you
him-
don't want to donate to me, I will fucking fund it myself.
I got more Scarface out of that.
Yeah, I'm not good with
I'm
impressions.
Donald fucking Trump. You know who I am?
Ron DeSantis is a fucking cockroach. I don't believe that. I think he's a good guy.
And this is you know what, I almost don't want to bring this up, but I'm going to because I started.
I think he is.
This is unfortunate because it brings up a terrible stereotype that all men have to, well, not you, but all men have to deal with in some capacity. You know how tall Ron DeSantis is?
Was he like 5'8"?
5'9". No, I'm 5'10". Ron DeSantis is a full inch shorter than me. I don't know how I feel about that. It made me think a little bit less of him, not going to lie.
He's 5'9", huh?
Yep.
Okay, right on.
I had to look it up. I didn't believe him because he seems like he's taller. Which means Vivek is probably like 5'5".
Yeah, he's small.
He's a little fella. Get in there. I'm going to talk to you, Vladimir Putin.
Isn't Trump like 6'4"?
I don't think he's 6'4", but he's over 6 feet.
Hey Siri, how tall is Trump? 6'3".
Oh, tall
Damn.
guy.
He's my height.
He's a tall drink of water. Now I just have a look of DeSantis, not DeSantis, Vivek looking up and, well, Putin, we're not going to let you get away with this. What's that? I can't hear you from down here.
How tall is Putin?
I don't know. He's probably over 6 feet. I
Hey
would say.
Siri, how tall is Vladimir Putin?
He's only 5'7".
What?
He's only 5'7", that little fucking murderous bitch.
He's a little fella. 5'7", really? That's the thing. I've said it before. I grew up around giants. I thought I was short.
And I'll be honest, I don't know if he's a murderous son of a bitch.
He is.
I've never lived over there. I've never met him. I just have to go by what other people say, and most times we know that is not reliable.
He is. I'm sorry, dude. You don't be in the KGB and then become president of Russia indefinitely without.
Oh, I'm not saying like shit hasn't gone down, but like as in like just murdering like citizens for no reason.
Oh no! I'm not
No.
suggesting that. Not Russian citizens anyway.
Now, am I saying he's not unhinged?
Oh, I don't think he's unhinged. Well, I mean, maybe now, but historically, no, I wouldn't say. But anyway, we're not talking about Vladimir Putin. We're talking about Vivek Ramaswamy.
I like the guy. I really like the guy. I think he needs to be out and about
You know what we didn't do
and
at
get
all?
people's attention and do things to prove he is what he is about.
You know what we didn't do at all, except for the first one? We didn't talk about how high we think they could go politically.
Well, we can go through them real quick.
Yeah.
All right, Chris Christie.
Like I said,
Governor.
vice president.
Okay.
The other
Asa?
two, who cares?
Is Asa?
He's already been everything except. I think he's reached his peak. I don't
Yeah,
think he's going to
peak.
go higher.
No more.
So the guy from South Dakota too. I don't think you're going to see
Pence,
him go.
vice president. That's it.
Yeah, that's the height he's
And
going to
he's
go.
never going to get that again.
Nope.
Nikki
Nikki Haley.
Haley, I could see her
Senator.
Speaker of the House or something like that.
High-ranking senator. I
Yeah,
could
yeah.
see that.
I easily could see that.
Yeah. I'm putting senator above congressperson just because it's slightly harder to win a Senate seat.
Because there's less.
Yeah.
Vivek, I think the motherfucker could be president.
I don't think president. Cabinet member. I'm placing that above.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm placing that above a senator though, and here's why.
You know what? I agree. I changed my vote.
Now, Vivek might change because, again, he is so young. Based on what I've seen right now, I see him as being a very influential cabinet member. I could definitely see him being in a Trump administration in some capacity.
I want someone who came from rags to not even rags to riches. I want someone who knows how it is for the average American worker, because I'm sorry, all these politicians, the number one thing they come from is most of the time is money.
Yeah, well, actually, that just reminded me. You know what a great gotcha question would have been from the moderators, and I would have loved to have seen this?
Where did you
No.
come from?
No. If you were appointed as the head of the Department of Education, what would you do?
Oh,
If any of them said anything other than shut it down and fire myself, they're a hypocrite. Because so many of them are talking about we'd get rid of it. If your answer is not, well, I wouldn't because we want to
that's
shut
a
it
good
down.
question, because they would have been like, oh, reform. It's like, no, you just want that paycheck.
You just want that. But that's a really subtle and sneaky way to find out if they just want power or if they actually want to. And I feel like
We need to moderate Fuck these guys, because
Dude.
the thing is, we'll give them some motherfuckers some tough questions.
I would also, and actually, one of the things I want to do, I guess we can announce it here. In the spirit of this, when we get closer, this is probably going to be next year. I want to go through and do a couple stretches of episodes where we go through, probably after the, well, it'll probably be early next year we'll start doing this, but I want to go through and do an episode on every candidate.
We need to go watch Blue Beetle.
Yeah, we do. I need to do that
Forgot
one.
about that.
And then another thing we're going to do, because I realized our Ninja Turtles... Well, here, let's finish with Vivek, and then I'll make these announcements, and then we'll get out of here. So, yeah, I feel like Vivek... Again, much like DeSantis, there's a couple of things that I'm kind of leery about, but I'll put it this way. If it was Vivek Biden, I would be voting Vivek. Much just the same way if it's DeSantis Biden, I'd be voting DeSantis. And if
Just
it's,
like 2016. Businessman over politician. Sorry. America's the biggest business in the fucking world.
I don't even think that's why Trump won, to be honest.
No, but that's what I looked at. And I was like, everyone... What do they say when they talk about Trump and business? Oh, how many...
Oh, he's a failure?
He's a failure, and how many companies have been bankrupt? And I'm like, how many have been a success?
Well, you know what else?
He
You know what?
has like a 96% success rate.
He had a line. He had a version of "What color is your Bugatti?" before Tate did. How many buildings have your name on it?
Did you see what Tate said about him on Twitter?
I've seen several things that Tate has said about him. I really
No,
want to.
just today.
Oh no, I have not seen that. I really want to read the Tate indictment, but I can't find it anywhere.
Of course not.
Yeah, because now he's saying it all has to do with TikTok, which I'll be honest, I don't 100% believe, but
What?
he's saying that.
TikTok?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. What's TikTok?
TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. Okay, my bad.
TikTok.
I'm glad you got that. That was perfect.
I was like, where's he going?
Oh, I know where he's going.
That was perfect. Oh shit! Look, 5 times boost. He put this. He's such a troll. 5 times boosted. Zim. Is that how you say that? Zim. Vice/BBC. Black Lives Matter. Democrat. Vegan. Just stop oil. Climate change. Biden 2024. This motherfucker is hilarious.
He is so funny.
Okay. Let me find it.
There have been some recent episodes of Tate Confidential where Tristan did an in-depth investigation because he thought that his brother may actually be a lizard person.
Dude, I didn't realize how fucking big Tristan Tate is. He's bigger than Tate
Yes, he is.
by like at least 4 inches. He's huge.
I don't know
Maybe
about
like
4 inches, 2, but yeah, he's a big dude. Their dad was a pretty sizable guy though, especially in his prime. He was a big dude.
I'm not seeing it.
I don't know, but what was the gist of it?
I can't remember. Let's move on. What were we talking about?
We were still on Vivek, but I think we were kind of closing out. So yeah, the bought and paid for thing was big. The other thing about Vivek is, again, he's kind of half selling the dream because he's saying a lot of words, but they don't really mean much. You know, he's like, we're gonna.
This motherfucker posts a lot.
Yeah, he does. We're gonna bring America back, and we have to sell the dream. What dream? I want to hear the dream. I'm not saying, and I believe, he brings up a good point, which is a point that, frankly, Jordan Peterson's brought up before, is the problem with Republicans is they don't sell the dream to young people. They talk to old people. It's hard to sell a conservative dream to... It's hard to sell conservatism to young people, though, because they're inherently against it.
Dude, what's the generation after Z?
Alpha.
Okay, Generation Alpha. My nephew, I'm assuming he's 21. Would he be?
No, he'd be Z.
Z. Okay, Z. There's a cultural shift happening, and they are literally like waiting to have sex. They're waiting to do this. Like,
I've heard that. Here's the thing, though: are they waiting because they want to, or are they waiting because they don't have the social skills to go out and get it?
no. Like my nephew, I'm telling
Well,
you,
your nephew,
he waited for a while.
Your nephew might be the exception, but from what okay.
I mean, I think his dad died at a young age and whatnot. And he didn't really have anyone to guide him, really. But like, he came out, dude. He's been with the same girl, and like, and I know several other people that are of the same age, and they're like seemingly like conservatives.
Oh, I think that's true. I think that's pretty well documented. But
But like what you're saying, you are correct. It's hard to sell conservatism because you got so many people that are brainwashed by
But
their teachers
but
and
here's-
stuff like that. So
here's the secret, though. Don't sell it as conservative. Sell it as
yeah,
prosperity.
stop using that word conservative.
Sell it as prosperity.
right.
Because there's, particularly economically, conservative values lead to prosperity. And socially conservative values don't really hurt your life. Generally speaking, they're a good way to achieve success, i.e., don't have kids before you're married, graduate high school, all those things, don't do drugs, that kind of shit. Religion's not going to hurt you unless you join a crazy-ass sex cult, but that's more of a lefty thing, actually.
Well, the crazy sex cults.
Yeah.
The women with the blue hair, man. I'm telling you.
I'm sorry, any organization that can convince women to basically be... What was the name of that one? They just did a document. I haven't watched it yet. But that celebrity woman just got released from prison because she joined it, and she basically recruited women to be sex slaves for the cult. I can't remember what it's called. I just took that on a way different direction.
Was she on Smallville?
Yes!
Chloe!
Yes!
No way!
Yeah, she got out of jail recently.
I knew she was doing that, but I didn't know she convinced them to be sex slaves. I thought it was
I hadn't read into it. I saw a video where she was getting released, and that's what they said. I can't verify it, but yeah.
the funny thing is about Smallville?
It was a small.
Everybody
actress,
was
yes.
all like, "Oh, Lana Lang, Lana Lang." I was like, "Chloe's fucking hot as
Nah,
fuck."
man, Lana was.
No, she's all right.
That's
Chloe had curves. Lana was like a fucking up and down stick.
To be fair, Lana's more my type.
Darker skinned.
Not just that, but
Yeah, I didn't know. No problem with that.
I'm fucking dating a 4'10".
Puerto Rican?
No,
Colombian?
no, I was wrong. I
What?
misremembered.
What is it?
Uh,
What is it? Oh wow.
what is it? Where is it? How do you? Where do you? Nicaragua.
Okay, cool. All right, we're diverting. Let's get back.
Yeah, we are. Now I'm thinking about her. Anyway, Vivek. It's a less pleasant picture.
Honestly, like I said, I liked most of what he talked about, but I mean, he has nothing, nowhere to back it up.
That's just it. And now,
But neither did Trump.
I was
technically,
just gonna say, neither did Trump. He sold it on the promise.
But you can't run off of what Trump did.
Oh yeah,
In
yeah,
2016.
because it's a different animal. Now Vivek's probably the closest to Trump on that stage.
I would say Vivek is definitely more professionally speaking than Trump.
Yeah,
But the thing is, when it comes to dealing with other people, I feel like he would cave and give in. Not 100%. But
not the worst one on that stage.
compromise.
But I think and compromise isn't inherently a bad word.
No, compromise is not bad. But the thing is, when you're compromising on, let's say,
That's where I think Ron DeSantis is a little bit superior too, because DeSantis.
castrating children,
Well, but
chemically.
okay, but here's where I think DeSantis is a little bit better about that, because Ron DeSantis has compromised on a lot of things, but you don't hear about those because what you hear about are the ones where he stood his ground and stood firm. And he's very good at knowing which hills to stand on and which ones can a compromise is okay.
and what hill not to die on.
Yeah, exactly. Because now that's why I was slightly disappointed. Although I think he was probably the most pro-life. I didn't love his answer, but I think he had the best answer to that while on stage, because he also was the only one who directly answered the question succinctly, which was, would you support a 6-week abortion ban federally? And he said, yeah, I'll be a pro-life president. Which again, he kind of didn't really answer the question, but
6 weeks.
that's what he was asked, I believe.
Well,
Because the heartbeat bill in Florida.
in the terms of not feeling the abortion and the child being killed, 3 weeks. Central nervous
Well,
system.
that's
I'm going to keep regurgitating that.
That's the heartbeat bill. I think they called it in Florida, which
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
6 weeks, isn't it?
No, 16. No, is it
No,
6?
6. I think it's 6.
Is it 6?
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, because they asked him about a 6-week ban.
It's wild how humans grow.
Yeah.
We're like little tomatoes. And you nurture him, and you're my little pet, and you're naughty.
Did you watch Sausage Party recently or something?
Fuck no. That's I hated that movie.
Oh, it was.
The worst movie ever made, but like the Indian scene, like the movie was good up until the Indian scene. I was like, you guys just wanted to do this. I was like,
That's
what
all it
the
was.
fuck?
I was referring to the scene where they get taken home the first time and then she starts cooking with them.
Oh.
Oh my God, they're children.
What was I talking about?
I don't remember. Oh, so I think we're pretty well done. Vivek, I think, was the clear winner. I don't think the debate changed
Policy,
anything.
like you said, DeSantis won. Overall, Vivek.
Yeah, I'd say, at least in this debate. But like I said, I don't think this debate moved any needle at all.
No,
I think
we're still in the same spot.
I think everybody's in the same standing, including Trump. Now, I will say...
Oh, no. There was one thing I wanted to add. When the moderator asked if President Trump is indicted, will you pardon him? And Vivek was the first one to shoot his hand up.
Yeah, Vivek literally was like, I want to be vice president. I mean, yeah, sure.
I know, right? Seriously, though, like, Trump, if he does win, yeah, all right, we're done with it.
Man.
Vivek was awesome. Who would be Trump's VP?
Honestly, as of right now, I'd say...
Who would he pick?
As of right now, out of those people...
I think he'd pick Vivek.
Yeah, out of those people, certainly.
Because he does not like Ron.
No, he does not like Ron DeSanctimonious. Man, we're getting back to our roots. Almost 3 hours.
That was rough.
No, not
Back
really.
when we did like 4 or 5 hours.
No, man, I loved every minute of it.
No, I did too.
We're
but,
getting
like,
back to our roots.
after
We're
a
getting
while.
back. We're getting back into the politic, and look how many views we have already.
I know, 25.
I
But
think.
we can't keep those fucking current viewers.
You know what it is though with long forms. I have because I do this too.
You have to shut it off. You got shit
Yeah,
to do.
exactly. But that's fine. You guys watch and listen whenever you can. But it's all watch hours. But that's what
Right,
we
we
need help
appreciate
with. So, but anyway, so that's what we want to do. Probably next year is we'll do episodes dedicated to certain candidates, and then because the Ninja Turtles episode was a good episode, it was a good conversation, but it wasn't much of a review per se. So what we're gonna
None of our reviews are pretty much a
and
review.
I noticed that. So
They're
what
more conversations.
So what we're gonna do though is instead of tonight we review, we're gonna change that to tonight we discuss.
I
And
like it.
I'm
I
going
like it.
and between the two of us, we'll start doing dedicated review videos.
And on top of that, just so everyone is clear, we're not just going to be political.
No, we're topical. So we're getting
Whatever
into
is awesome at the time is what we talk about.
But that being said, full disclaimer, we're getting into political season.
I can't wait for the Democratic debates. Oh,
There aren't going to be any.
there's gonna be.
No, they're not.
Yes,
There's not.
There's gonna be.
I'll take that bet.
And I don't mean that in like I like want to see.
We'll
them.
have-
I
we'll-
want to see how they tear each other
We'll
down.
have a gentleman's wager, $1. There are not going to be. That was a awkward handshake. There we go. Get in there. Yeah, there's not going to be a Democratic debate. What was the other? Yeah. So, any closing thoughts at all?
Go and watch the what is it? X Twitter. Go and watch the Trump and Tucker Carlson
Don't bother. There was.
interview. He didn't like it.
I
but
was shocked.
He's also,
I was shocked. Tucker asked him if Epstein killed himself, and Trump said probably. Probably.
this guy doesn't
not.
use seasoning on his food. I'm just kidding.
Trump said probably. That surprised me.
He said what? Say it again.
Tucker asked him if Epstein killed himself, and Trump said probably.
No. He says I don't think he did.
No. That's not what he said. He said
Oh
I
no,
think he did.
I'm sorry. Yeah. You're right. You're correct. And I was just like, really, dog?
Yep.
You know why he said that?
Yeah, I know exactly why he
You
said
know
it.
why he said that?
I know why he said it.
You know, and a lot of people are saying that Epstein was an agent. And you want to know why? Because the dude had a $70 million penthouse in, what was it, New York?
New York.
Given to him.
Yep.
Who the fuck gives away a $70 million
somebody who
Sweet. Somebody who wants to make sure he's taken care of.
well, somebody who he has blackmail on.
That's true.
But the thing is, there was a prosecutor or something like that, and they were talking about him, and something happened, and then the prosecutor or whoever it was, they're like, no, I don't know, that's above my pay grade. Basically meaning, well, he said it a different way. I'm not saying it correctly, but he basically said that he was, what do you call it? Intelligence.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get through that.
Hey, maybe.
No, and I don't know.
I don't know either.
You
I don't know a lot of things.
But anyway.
But I know this. You should continue to watch the Average Intelligence podcast and check out the Down the Middle podcast for all you pro wrestling fans out there. And you should also like, share, and subscribe. Once again, hopefully you're a little bit less average and a little bit more intelligent. I got to get better about saying that every time. That's the shtick. And if you prefer to listen to the podcast instead of watch it, why would you? But you can listen to it on YouTube Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Static, Amazon, basically all of your regular podcast streams. I had a Mitch McConnell moment there. Just and be sure to check us out on Rumble. There is some exclusive content on Rumble if it's just too hot for YouTube. Or if it gets banned from YouTube.
Apes gone wild.
Oh,
We're off rhythm.
it's the first time.
That hurt.
Yeah.
My heart hurts. It must be the country. All right.
Oh,
Everybody.
before we leave,
Oh, yeah.
the national anthem, what the fuck was that? Before the debate?
I didn't catch the very beginning.
No. Why does everybody feel like the song is written perfectly the way it is? Why does everybody feel like they have to fuck it up?
Oh, what they were shine down in it?
Now, over stylizing, and honestly, she missed some of the notes. And if you can't hit those notes, don't sing those notes.
It was like Fergie
There-
when she sang
Oh,
the.
yeah. There were a couple times where I was just like,
And with that, we bid you farewell. Have a good night. We thank you for hanging out. This
Vote
has been
Republican.
another episode of the Average Intelligence Podcast. Take care and watch our shorts and our long form content.
and vote Republican.
You vote wherever you want.
That's
but
true,
Just
yeah.
know,
But please,
if you vote wrong, the country's already fucked.
so vote right. There you go.
So vote right. I like how I spell that.
Economically, we need it.
Bye.
Bye. Have a beautiful time.